Hello and welcome to PrE-3, episode 60 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm joined, as always, by Shpeshal Nick.
What's going on?
I love the energy you put into that at 7 in the morning, your time. And as a very special guest, right before E3, the man with the hair himself, Jeff Grubb. How you doing, Jeff?
It's too hot to have hair. That's what I've decided. I got it up in the hideous man bun, and I'm gonna live that life. But it's warm out there. It's warm for me. As soon as it gets like 75, it's too warm. But it's like 85, almost 90 here, and I'm like,
that sounds amazing.
I start to melt. I'm like, I moved to Denver for a reason. I want the snow, but we had snow in what is it, June now? We had snow in May, so I shouldn't complain. But yeah,
you had a good run.
I got the hair up. Yeah, so no hair down in this episode. You guys are all just going to have to accept that.
Well, look, speaking of hair, when we last had you on, I know you guys had your own little Christmas podcast. You know, I couldn't do it because I was celebrating Boxing Day, whatever that means. And you know, I sensed there was a little bit of bromance, and I have to admit, I am the jealous type. So, in order to keep up with you today, I brought my own hair.
There we go. That's gorgeous.
So
right
that I can channel my inner Jeff Grubb.
Oh, it's wonderful.
This is the best £5.99 I've spent in the last 3 months.
Yes, well done. Yep. I remember I was traveling in Eastern Europe for around New Year's more than like 10 years ago now, and there was guys wearing wigs like that, and they saw me and they thought I was wearing one of their wigs, and then they realized it was real hair, and they stopped. They were Italian, and they're like, "Stop, we got to get a picture with you." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, totally." So,
I don't know how long I'll keep this on for because I'm not very used to this kind of luscious.
You
locks.
look like Tommy Wiseau. You ever seen The Room? You look like Tommy Wiseau, and that's a good thing. That's a good
Oh man,
be the Tommy Wiseau of games. I love that.
Love it.
Don't be jealous, mate.
It's okay. I'm fine.
I am the third most important person in Jeff's life, behind his wife and his child. Okay, and it's a close
Two children.
Okay.
Yep, they're tied though. Yeah.
Two children. Nick's in the middle. But yeah, here we are. We're off to a great start here today. Hair is the first sort of 5 minutes. I look forward to putting that in the timestamp. There is a lot to talk about, but we're going to try and skip over most of the news because we know what everybody in the audience is wanting to talk about is, E3, what we think is going to be there. And I think everybody at this point, I know Jeff, you put out here's what I think is going to be at E3 via the game mess.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
And we obviously dropped our video earlier this week. And I think I'm, looking back on it now and hearing some of the things that we think are firming up, we're fairly confident on stuff. But we'll go through some of the news of today, and then
Don't you love these troll super chats?
The troll super chats.
Xbox murderer or the Xbox murderer. He follows me around wherever I go, and he gives money to talk shit like this, and I'm like, okay, okay, homie.
Hey,
no, please stop throwing dollar bills at me.
Jeff, why did you lie about Starfield 2021, Jeff?
I know it's so good. Yeah, all my speculation are lies now. Whatever.
I know. It's like, hold on, I'm here too. I lied as well.
We all thought
wasn't the only one that lied.
I know, but it was. We always framed it as like I was like really hopeful and we believed, and it was like, but it was the only thing we ever said was they're gonna show it this year, though. They're gonna show it this year. That's the thing. I was like, no, I heard they're gonna show it this year. I never heard 2021. I was very hopeful though, but yeah, that never. Of course, that didn't turn out to be the case now.
Somnia, thanks, $5. I love how trolls pay money. I'll just pay money to pay money. E3 hype.
E3 hype. we got the hair. It's all good.
Oh, that's so funny.
So before we dive into the news of the week, I don't know about you guys, but everything has been so busy in this insane build up, and for us, we got our approved media access, whatever that means, considering the ESA nowadays, for E3. So I know that everyone XboxEra has been super busy. I certainly haven't really had any video game time in the last 7 days. What about you two? Have you actually been able to sit down and play anything?
The usuals. For me, it's just the usuals.
Fair enough.
You know me. It's the usuals. Everyone knows what I play every week. There's no need to go over it.
Yeah, we've heard
everyone knows.
We've heard you're pretty terrible at Rocket League. That's true. What about you, Jeff? Playing anything good?
Master.
I've been playing a game I can't talk about on the PlayStation 5.
I think we can probably guess, but okay.
I think we know. I think we know which one. Jeff, please, Jeff, because of how much I adore you and I care for your safety.
Can't save me, man. You're not going to be able to save me. Nope.
I care for your safety. Please don't give that game anything below a 9.8. Please, please
okay,
don't.
Listen. First of all, it's a 5-point scale. Get it right. If you loved me, you would know this. And no, I
knew
promise
that,
everybody out there, it's gonna be. Thank you. It's gonna be a very, very subjective review. It's gonna be subjective as hell. It's gonna be based on how my experience. And I don't even know what game I'm talking about because I don't want to get in trouble.
Don't even know. Couldn't tell you.
The other game I'm playing is I played Icarus, which is it's like a survival game. Yeah, I told you about this. I played it with the developer Dean Hall. He made DayZ.
Oh.
He's moved on now, done a couple things since. Icarus is new. It's basically like sci-fi Valheim. You live in a space station. You come down to the planet. You do some survival stuff. In the first couple sessions, it's gonna be like those first days of Minecraft, where like you're building your stuff and you're just getting your basic tools and you're getting comfortable with the world. And then as you move on, those sessions where you come down from your space station to try to build up your character get shorter and shorter, and they're more about like, let's just hit this planet, get what we need, get back up, and then replan and rethink and reprocess, and then get back down there and get what we need. And it's like that. I mean, just imagining that that flow, that cycle is really appealing to me. I really liked it in something like SteamWorld Dig 2, but applying that to a survival game, I'm like, oh, that could work. That could work really well. We played it for a little bit. It looks really nice because they're using RTX global illumination, and they just announced that they're getting DLSS, and I tried it with that, so it ran really well. But what I really liked is the physics system, which is very similar to like the chemistry system in Breath of the Wild. We were trying to like set the forest on fire and stuff. But it had just rained, and that's like why we got the idea, because the thunderstorm was coming down and the lightning lit a tree on fire. And he's like, well, we used to be able to set the forest on fire. We tried, but we couldn't because it just rained and the floor was like, the ground was too wet. It's like, oh man,
that's cool.
All that stuff interactive. Yeah, all those interactions really get me going. I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally get into this. And I haven't like had time. Yeah, I haven't had time for one of those. I didn't really play Valheim because it's like, kids were like, it's just this specific age where they're both either messing with each other or breaking themselves or breaking the house, and they're just starting to get maybe a little bit past that. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for one of those games again. So they let me in there, so I'm still gonna be able to play it. I'm gonna keep trying it out. So yeah, that's the one thing kind of I had time for. Also, Hoko Life, I started it. That's that Animal Crossing game for PC.
Oh yeah.
I started. It's an Animal Crossing game for PC. I don't know what else to say about it. I think it's gonna build up over time. It's gonna be one of these games I think that's made by like one or two people.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna spend all their time on it and make it better and better and better. And it's got a good foundation, so I'm pretty excited about it. But I think it's gonna like be one of those things that quietly builds up a huge audience in the background over a couple of years, and then people are gonna be like, "Wow, that thing's huge."
As all PC games that get big tend to do, just sneak. Oh, we're a sensation now. You didn't hear about us 3 months ago, but we've been here for ages.
Yeah, we have 60 million players every day or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of nuts. Well,
that's what I've been playing though.
It's a good list. It's very eclectic compared to me with nothing and Nick with Rocket League. So yeah, that's fair.
Hey, and Knockout City.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, have you tried Knockout City? How's Knockout City? Okay, that's what I've heard from everybody. Everyone seems to really like it.
So good, and it's just funny. Like, I feel like that developer is in a good spot right now. So I wonder if someone will try and pick them up, because they made the Mario Kart Live thing, and now they've made Knockout City. So they've demonstrated that they can do very different things already, just with 2 different games, and both are really high quality. Yeah, man, Valan Studios, it's the hot right now.
Yep.
The new hotness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Knockout City's great.
So a couple of things. I'm going to do this in a different order than we've got it listed in order to move quickly and make the most of Jeff's time. Tell Me Why is free. So it's Pride Month.
Yes.
If you haven't played Tell Me Why,
happy Pride Month, everyone.
Indeed. And they're all free. You can download the game. I think on PC. I don't know if it's via Steam or just via the Microsoft Store, but it's free. You can go play all of the episodes.
The first 3 episodes. I think it's the first 3.
Oh, is it only the first 3? Beg your pardon. But that's a pretty decent chunk of game. I think we saw, what else did we see this week? We saw Oddworld, the PlayStation 5 exclusive. rated
for Xbox One.
Xbox. What else? Crysis Remastered Trilogy, which is, I think, something you spoke about in a previous episode during the Rumour Mill.
We said it on there was that guy, that Twitter account.
Yeah, the Pokey.
That leaked all the Crytek, all that Crytek stuff. That PokeProtos Twitter account that leaked all that Crytek stuff. That's where the Rise 2 rumor came from. So we've already got the Crysis trilogy. So we'll see if all the other stuff on that list comes true as well. I really want Rise 2.
Well, that was immediately. As soon as I saw Crysis Remastered, I was like, okay, that was legit. Tell me Rise 2. Tell me Rise 2 is going to be announced. And Crytek have been working on it for like 3 years. Or Crysis Battle Royale.
Yeah, that was on the list as well. And a new Robinson game, the VR game. There was a whole bunch of stuff in that leak that Crytek are supposedly working on. So,
and the Xbox murderer is wasting his money once again. You and Nate lied about the Switch Pro up there with Jeff. So he's targeting you now, Nick.
I know. He's forgetting. No, is he talking about me?
Yeah, you and Nate lied.
With Jeff. Oh, okay. Yeah. I lied about the Switch Pro.
Lied.
Yeah, man, I lied about it. Yeah,
well, okay, that's a good. Thank you for the segue, Xbox murderer. Nintendo let you down this week, right? So yes, I think you surmised and you'd heard that there was a potential announcement.
That's what I was told. I was told that they were going to drop their announce/mini direct, whatever you want to call it. Everyone just anytime Nintendo announces something, people just call it a direct. Right. But I was told that they were going to drop it Thursday. But my guy said to me, he's like, they could push it. He's like, just make sure you tell people that they may push it again because it's already been pushed once before. And maybe they did push it.
Yeah, maybe they saw your tweet.
That's what I've heard. I heard they pushed it. I heard that they moved it. And I've heard that they moved it until after E3 is what it sounds like now as well. Now, I don't know. I don't have any real good... tap into this, and who knows anymore. We'll see.
After Elden Ring, I am once bitten, twice shy. I'm staying away from this Nintendo Switch Pro thing because I've heard more about it, but I'm not saying jack.
You're not the only one. This is what happens. A lot of people are like, Nate the Hate did get out there and he's like, listen, I'm going to try to update you on what I've heard. I've heard more, and people are like, you're just, you're wrong, and you're just trying to backtrack. He's like, no. I'm honestly just trying to tell you what I've heard. I'm trying to update you. And what does he get out of it? He just gets hate, and it's he just gets people mad at him. It's like, so is it worth it to try to help people figure out what's going on? I mean, do you want to get in on this Elden Ring thing with me though, man? It's the Summer Game Fest. Let's do it. Come on, let's get on the ride or die. Come on,
ride or die, motherfucker.
This Elden Ring shit, man. Like, what's the deal now?
He's tweeting, I'm going to break free. And he's like a little koala bear in jail or whatever it was. And it's like, yeah, he's going to get out of gamer prison. He got it, man. He knows he has it. That's why he's acting like this.
It's a weird one, right, though, because it was my assumption, and I think it was probably the majority of any Xbox fans' assumption, that Elden Ring, the marketing was with Microsoft. And you would have assumed for a game with as much of a fervent fan following, all From fans are kind of crazy, that they would try and secure that for the big E3 show, but
they did try. They tried very hard to make that happen. Yeah, they wanted it. This is not Microsoft saying we're too busy with other things. This is not Microsoft saying everything here has to be in Game Pass day one, and there's some reason this game can't be. We haven't made that deal yet, so we don't even want it here. That's not what it is. This is Bandai Namco looking around saying what's not E3 and what is not Xbox, and. Why would it do that? I feel like people should be able to draw their own conclusions, and because I don't feel comfortable just flat out saying it. But people should be able to draw their conclusions why Bandai Namco would be, gun shy to work with Microsoft. So
the Xbox murderer super chatted 1,000 billion times. I don't know.
Yeah, he did it. Got it. Congratulations.
I've asked him for more money. He said he's not going to give me more money, but I've asked him for more. Please give us more money.
There's a lot of fans of my my alternate persona with the wig. It was really itchy, and it's like 28 degrees in the UK or something right now. It's very warm, so maybe not. It's very warm. It's a very long hair piece. We'll put it back on later.
Xbox murder should be saving his money. $70 is a lot for games.
Just to be clear, that I don't know why Bandai Namco made the decision. I just know that it was Bandai Namco that made the decision to move it out of Xbox, and to me that says that Bandai Namco said no to the co-marketing deal. I know a lot of people have heard that they did sign a co-marketing deal and the money's already changed hands. I've heard that the deal was always in talks. They were always trying to make it happen. Microsoft really wanted it, and they couldn't. They never got it signed. And as we got closer and closer to E3, it was like the idea was, we're going to try to make this happen. Why isn't this happening? And now it's because Bandai Namco is saying no and turning down money and saying no to the money from Microsoft. And so that's the part I know and that I can repeat and that I feel comfortable saying.
Do you think there's any link to that Sony stuff?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that there's a possibility that there's something like that, but I don't know. But it's like, why? I mean, they're just saying, like, let's talk about like what these co-marketing deals are. It is basically money to show a trailer at a show, and that's it.
That's it.
And that's all. That's it. So, I mean, that means like Microsoft is going to sign a check over to Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco hands over a trailer, and then Microsoft shows the trailer at E3. That's the extent of what the deal would look like. And so why do you say no to that deal? It's basically free money and also free advertising.
Yep. Makes sense.
You know, it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird situation. I don't get it. I actually don't fully understand it unless there is something else happening here that we just don't know. And that's where I'm like that. I'm speculating, but I feel like everyone else is going to be speculating the same things. And we could try to figure this out, and I'll keep an eye on it. But you know, I am speculating on that second half of like why Bandai Namco made that decision.
Yeah, it's just money and business, isn't it? So it's gonna be interesting to see. But to be honest, the only From game I really care about is Chrome Hounds 2, and it doesn't exist yet, to my knowledge. So, you know, call me when that gets announced and there's a trailer, and then I'll be there. So you know, I think we've covered a lot of stuff. So let's get on to the meat and potatoes. This is our last live show before next Sunday, which is going to be 8 days. You're going to have to wait a day for the XboxEra podcast, but we're doing a live stream with, I think, 8 of the team. So some of the people from You Have Me at Halo, 8 of us. It's going to be bonkers. Hopefully they're not all chatterboxes. But we're going to be doing the live stream then. So this is our last opportunity to, you know, talk about what we think we're going to see. So I'm just going to throw some stuff out there, and we can bounce things off.
Let's do it.
But I think
well, everyone thinks I'm a liar now, so I can partake in predictions.
Yeah, you can
now,
partake in.
I'm a liar.
You can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's rock.
Here come my predictions.
So let's first off let's get the biggest one that needs to prove itself. Halo Infinite. What do we think we're going to see? So I think in our video, and I think you've said something similar, Jeff. Maybe a smidge of campaign, but the bigger focus is probably going to be on the multiplayer suite. That's my understanding. I don't know about you guys. What do you think they should show comparatively to what they are going to show?
I think they should show more of the campaign than what they're going to show, but I think that there are good reasons why they feel they aren't going to do that. Yeah. I think everyone if in a perfect world they'd have the capacity to do that, but in reality, when they are looking at like the resources in front of them and saying, hey, do we want to peel off people who are working actively on this game right now to go work with marketing to put together something that more heavily features the campaign? No, we don't. We're not going to do that. The 343 is not in a place where they can do that. They are in a place where everyone should be working on this game. Let's not, even if it's it increases the chance of a delay by only like 5%. That is a realistic risk that we need to keep in mind. That's like, we should not be taking that sort of risk. We need to just let these people work on the video game.
Yeah, and so it's funny you say that.
Yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say, just because I was saving what I was gonna say till you finished, but then what you said lends so perfectly to what I was about to say.
Please.
I wonder, to avoid another possible Craig situation, I would not be surprised in the least if this E3 they focus on multiplayer, and for the campaign they just show some of the cutscenes. It's nice and controlled.
Yeah.
It looks its best. They can avoid the Craig. All they do is show a bunch of the really pretty cutscenes, which the graphics whores will be like, oh my God, look how much nicer it looks. Oh, look, and Craig's gone and blah, blah. And then they'll just focus on the multiplayer. That's what I reckon.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a part of me that wishes they could do an almost mirror-to-mirror replay of the same sequence.
They won't do it.
But
I wish they would do that too. They're not going to. Yeah. It'll be it'll be multiplayer. There's been, I think, no shade to Colt, but Colt Eastwood, his video talk about like September. I don't think that's right. If anything happens in September, it'll maybe like a multiplayer beta or something like that. I don't know. That's me guessing. But I think most of the info that he had kind of seems a little bit off base in terms of what we're going to see from E3.
Yeah.
We're going to see multiplayer. We're going to see stuff. They'll show classic multiplayer. I mean, it's like the dude with the voice is going to say "capture the flag" and stuff like that. And then there's not going to be like a big team battle. If they do show anything from it, it won't be in context. We won't know that's what we're looking at. It'll just be like, it's going to look like Halo-esque gameplay. And that's, I've said this before, but that's what the multiplayer is going to look like. And then they will briefly what's his name? Joseph Staten will probably come on stage and be like, hey, we are working on this game. Here is a big wide shot of like the world looking relatively good. And it's going to be kind of similar to the screenshots we've shown before. And then, I think you're right. It's going to be cutscenes.
Yeah,
it's going to be a couple cutscenes. It's going to be like stuff with like good lighting, where you see the Master Chief model up close, and it's going to look super detailed, and it's going to animate well, and then they're going to move on, and it's going to be about probably like less than 10 minutes.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think the multiplayer montage, whatever we get, even there's a part of me that hopes they do like a little, almost like a narrated walkthrough, but I think it's just going to be pure, cool Halo gameplay, like montage style, like shots of Spartans beating each other up and all that. I think you'll get your campaign splash. I mean, I surmised in our video that we might hear about a multiplayer beta of sorts, but I think if anything, we'll get a date for it. But it won't, set expectations for anyone watching. I have zero expectation for it to be shadow dropped right then and there on the stage, and you can go download
no way.
Xbox. No chance whatsoever.
I still think we are in a world where it's possible, where there is the multiplayer gets a date, and then the campaign gets a holiday 2022, and then they talk about that a little bit more later.
Yeah,
I think we still might live in that world, maybe, and we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I do wonder what the date will be, though. What do we think the date? Because there's rumors now floating around of September.
What I've heard about September is basically what I heard. Someone they watched that Colt Eastwood video or saw something on Reddit and was like, all this is wrong.
Yeah,
all this is wrong.
I think Sketch from 343.
They suggested it was a possible disinformation to try to like flush out leakers. Like that's how much they're like, this doesn't sound right. So hopefully it's not that. But if anything happens in September, I don't think it's definitely Halo's not going to release in September. Like the full thing is probably not going to come out in September. First of all, Halo needs as much time as it can get, and they are going to say holiday. It's going to be holiday probably more than anything else. And then and that means September would not qualify as holiday. So.
No. I do wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes that might cause them to need to push it out of whatever release date they originally wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine
that's all I'll say.
Bloody hard work making a massive video game.
That's all I'll say. I just wonder if there's something behind the scenes unrelated to the development of the game itself.
I see what you're saying. We'll get to that, right? I think I have a sneaking suspicion what you might be hinting at there. Effectively, and apologies if I'm saying something I shouldn't. Blink 3 times if I am, but they might be agreeing to stay in a certain place for reasons.
Something like
a schedule. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's possible. But yeah, so Halo Infinite. So that's. I think we're all aligned in our expectations there. Do you guys think it's going to open or close the show? I actually personally think it's going to be slap bang in the middle somewhere. I don't think it's going to be this big hoo-ha opening, and I don't think it's going to end the show. I think it's going to be somewhere.
You might be right. I think you might be right. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Lineup looks. I have zero idea what the lineup looks like, but I think there's a good chance, based on kind of what I understand it could look like, that it makes sense in the middle. And because there are like going to be new things that you can open with. You could open with a brand new trailer, especially all this stuff that's been leaking around, and we haven't got a good idea of what it is. Like the stuff like with the Typhoon, like it's leaked basically, but we still don't know what it is, and so that's exciting. Like you open up, like this is what that Typhoon thing is, and now you can actually see what the game looks like in some form, probably CG, but it looks like in some form, and isn't that exciting? And then you close with Starfield and you put Halo in the middle. Yeah, that makes some sense to me. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
There's enough big new games. Like Halo's a known quantity. It's going to sell a bucket load. It's out on Xbox, PC. It's free to play. it's gonna be fine in terms of its launch. It doesn't need to have the big splash at the beginning or the big splash at the end. It's not like Halo at the end. Starfield makes sense to me at the end, because that's the one that probably undercurrent has a lot of hype and thought behind it.
Yeah, and I've heard that Starfield will obviously it's going to have a CG trailer because they haven't even done one of those, and that's fine. But I've heard it's also going to have some snippets of something beyond CG. I guess we'll get shots of gameplay. It's probably not going to be like a gameplay demo.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be like them holding a controller on stage and showing us them playing it. Not like that, but we might get a look at what the game actually plays like in small snippets. And that seems like the kind of thing where if you have that much to show for Starfield, and this is the first time you're ever showing it, and that game is anticipated, I think you close it with that. And it needs to be that kind of game. It needs to be the kind of game that can carry Microsoft's 2022. So if that's what it is, you close it with it and let it just win the show for you. If this is the thing that can win the show for you, it better be put it at the end and let it do that. So.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So, okay, I mean, look, we mentioned Starfield, so let's get that one out of the way. There's not much that anybody.
Sorry if it looks like I'm not concentrating. I'm currently in DMs live on the air.
He's looking at porno. I knew it.
Yeah, I'm currently in DMs live on the air asking about certain things and what can be said and what can't be said. So if anyone's wondering why I look like I'm not concentrating, I am. I'm just sort of.
It sounds like you're queuing up a juicy Rumour Mill so I can hit that jingle button. I'm fine with this. So Starfield, there isn't a lot that anybody knows. Like, we've seen some of those weird leaked screenshots that I'm still not 100% on.
They were old, right? That was kind of the consensus with those. They were old, right? So it's like things could have changed.
But it's. I think that the hype behind it is this is something that Todd, I think, has spoken in interviews about as being the dream game, right? I guess every studio must have one somewhere along the lines. And it's been something that they've been working on silently and solidly for a very, very long time. And that, I think that excites people. It's I'm not a big Bethesda games guy. Like RPGs, I get a little tired. I get a little bored of open world quest fetching and stuff like that. But sci-fi is my personal jam. So yeah, the fact that it sounds like it's a grounded in semi-possible reality sci-fi, it's intriguing to me. So I'm really excited to see what they can pull off on that front.
I agree. This is the game I'm thinking. Whether or not I come away happy with this E3 will largely hinge on Starfield, because I am a huge sci-fi guy, but I'm also a huge Bethesda games guy, and I'll go back and play Skyrim at any time, and I'll go put on the mods and just have a good time and try to see what I could do to have a weird story to tell after playing it for a couple hours. And as long as this game could deliver on that stuff, people always talk about reviewers need to beat games. I don't trust a reviewer that beats a Bethesda game. That's not the experience I want to know. Don't beat it. Just go play it for like 30 hours and tell me what you did. As long as this game can get in that realm, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
and I want to see that promise made during this E3.
And we've got Edward King in the super chat. Jez Corden just said on Discord, Xbox could announce an acquisition and some IP to E3. Is that true, Jeff? We have got a Rumour Mill section. We will get to it. We're just going to keep you on bated breath. So we'll get there and we'll discuss this. Because, yes, we do have something that we hopefully can share. That's what Ed is busy working on about what he can and can't say.
That is what I'm working on.
So, yeah, we'll get to it, Edward. Don't worry. We're en route. You're nearly there. Forza Horizon 5. Central America or Latin America or Mexico, whatever it is. I think when we last had you on, Jeff, we discussed, hey, they're a super efficient team. They released super polished, super huge open world racing games. Yes, they were hit by the pandemic, but they have had that extra year. We expected one, and then I think Jez from Windows Central and I guess you guys and everybody started teasing the Mexican flag, etc. We're expecting to see that at E3, right?
What happened was Jez started teasing it, and then someone was like, "Yeah, that's it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, oh, "Okay, all right, cool. Thank you for letting me know." I'm like, "Thank you, Jez, for shaking that loose." Normally I don't go and harangue these people and tell me everything. Usually I have specific questions I try to get answered.
Yeah.
Sometimes though it works out Jez tweets some bullshit and then someone's like, "No, this is real." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah. He does
Jez helps out with that stuff. Yeah, I'm excited about this. Yeah, I think it was Randall Thor a few weeks ago talking about this sort of thing and explaining it in a very, I think, a smart way, where this is going to be the last of the cross-gen Forza Horizon games, and they're not going to do another cross-gen Forza Motorsport. Forza Motorsport 8 or whatever it is going to be the next gen one, and they're rebuilding the tech. And then once they get done with this Horizon and they make another one, it'll work on that next gen tech, and it'll not be cross-gen anymore. Yeah. So, but they still had like, you know, the budget and the scope and the team and the idea and the time to do one more cross-gen Forza Horizon. So they're going to do that, and they're going to get it out there. And again, this is something I think they need some games to fill out the schedule. They were caught in a bad place in terms of like the timing for a lot of these things, and they kind of got in bad luck. And some of it's not just bad luck; some of it's just like Sony being very aggressive. Like
very aggressive.
Microsoft's like release schedule would be very different if Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo weren't on PlayStation. It would be like, oh, now Xbox has a lot of games, but they don't have those, and that's just the reality of the situation. But it would be very different if those Bethesda games that Microsoft owns were on Microsoft platforms exclusively. So it's like it doesn't take much for like our reality to be in that timeline instead, but we're not. So Microsoft does still need games, and this is one that makes sense. It's going to come out this year. This is like one of the big games for this year, and yeah, I think I had heard September for this as well, and then I asked about that, and apparently no, not September for this, but it'll be out this year.
What is going to release in September at this rate?
Yeah, no, you know what? Probably fuck all. Sorry, I can't remember. Can I swear?
Yeah, we don't.
Mate.
It's a live show. The original Nottian just popped up a super chat. That's it. Special show with Jeff, John, and I to discuss the best sci-fi games with each subgenre. Nottian, he's part of the XboxEra team, so that's what he's referring to. I would be down for that. I love a bit of sci-fi. It's awesome times.
I last time my boyfriend was on the show, I had said that I think there might be something Star Wars at E3.
That's a good segue. We put that in our video.
I am sticking to that prediction. I still think there will be something Star Wars. I don't know.
To be specific, on the Xbox and Bethesda show, something
as
Star
part
Wars.
of the Xbox Bethesda show, something Star Wars. I don't know if it's going to be Mandalorian. I don't know if it's going to be the High Republic game that we had spoken about a while back. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to be. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be like a trailer for Lego Star Wars. I don't know. I think there's going to be something Star Wars.
I will say that 100%. Disney will have a presence at the Xbox Bethesda thing. 100% Disney will have a presence there, and that's all I'll say. And when it happens, and you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Jeff?" You come back, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean, and you'll realize I was trolling you. But I mean it. Disney will be
there. Fair. I like it. But yeah, Star Wars was in our prediction video. You know, I think whether it's a KOTOR 1 remaster, I know that's been floating around with it. Is it Asper, the dev studio?
Aspire. I've been saying the same.
Aspire Media. Yeah, Aspire Media. Yeah.
They spell it elite speak, I think.
Yes, cool. A little bit. Yeah.
Jesse Norris in the chat. Don Cabeza, for those that know him by that name. Halo September, Forza October, Battlefield and Game Pass November. Halo September, we've shot that one down. We don't think that's happening at all. But you know, I'd love to be wrong because I really want to play me some Halos. But I'd prefer a completely finished game. None of this forged 3 months after launch kind of nonsense. I want everything perfect.
I don't blame you.
Perfect as could be. So yeah, it would be nice, but we'll see. What else have we got? So we've spoken about Star Wars. Okay, so we briefly mentioned
out Jesse's super chat.
I just did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
But we got another one, so while we're on the super chat train, let's keep rolling.
Oh wow, look at that one. LB7.
Do you think there'll be an XO21 this year?
I do.
I'd hope so. There's enough to show.
Why not?
You hear that they'll save stuff for the Game Awards as much as I hate that show, and I just wait until the trailers are all out. But maybe. The pandemic is still a very real thing. That's the only thing I'd say.
I mean, XO21's, it won't be an in-person event. Microsoft has 100% committed to not doing any in-person events in this calendar year. So it would be like a virtual thing. I guess they could do that for sure, but I don't know if that's what they want to do with one of their XOs. So maybe XO22 is maybe your best bet.
Yeah, I think they're doing fan fests virtually and all of that jazz, but yeah, I mean, XO19 was great, and I got to see Everwild. I was standing with the Rare guys when that dropped, and it was cool. But it's like any other convention. Once you're actually in there, you get some really cool free stuff, like you walk out of there with a little rucksack and some Game Pass and all that jazz. But it is just lots of queuing up and playing bits of games for 10 minutes. It is what it is.
We do have a Rumour Mill, by the way.
Oh, good. I look forward to that. We briefly
all
mentioned
those DMs, and we got something out of it.
Very good. I'm glad to hear it. We mentioned briefly earlier Project Typhoon. Now, this is funny, right? I got the wind of this, and I got a lot of the detail of it. Again, I don't know exactly what it is, but I've heard words, and I put them in our XboxEra video. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Open world, very ambitious, multiplayer. Now, I know the development studio, and this is funny because I think everybody knows the development studio at this point, right? And no one said it, but if you're very careful, you could probably go and watch a Xbox YouTuber's video, and he drops the worst hint in the world, which basically just revealed it anyway. But yeah, I'm super keen to see this. There was a small part of me that really wants this to be a return of Mech Assault, and they've worked out all the IP, and it's a massive city-destroying mechs chomping around but it's not Chrome Hounds 2, so it's fine. I don't know what IP it's going to be. I don't know, is it what era, what genre? Nothing. We have nothing beyond that. So, if you sit there thinking,
I'll say a word, and I don't know if it's relevant, or I don't know how finalized this is, but Contraband. I'll say that Contraband. I think that might be in the title somewhere. We'll see.
Okay, there you
Contraband.
go.
Yeah, Contraband.
That's a cool IP name. I'm up for it. It sounds sounds very cool.
Contraband.
Like criminals and
at least you guys.
No, I know what contraband means, but I'm just thinking about what I know about it, and then I think about the name, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, I immediately start thinking heists type stuff and
like
payday style,
that's right.
and trying to sneak stuff through borders, and I don't know.
I think that's a good direction to think in. Yes, I think that's probably right.
Almost
we'll
like a Grand Theft Auto meets Sea of Thieves or something.
Yeah, we won't have to wait long. Yeah.
We don't have to wait.
You guys can hear me again, right? I froze for like a whole 10 seconds there for a second. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're okay. You're all okay.
Great. Okay, I'm back.
A cowboy in Sweden in the chat. I always really enjoy the podcast with Jeff Grubb. So do we. He's a jolly nice fellow to chat to.
Thank
you. We like that. Reset hates him just as much as they hate us. It's great. We're all here for this. We live off this stuff. So that's Project Typhoon. What else have we got? We've got Project Dragon. Now, this one I understand is way further out. I think I put
the IO one.
Yes, this is the IO one, right? This is Windows Central said it's being developed by IOI. I surmised we might see a announced trailer, the kind of trailer that Fable did, to say, if you want to come work on this game, you can hire it. But I have no idea if that's going to be there. That's pure guesswork from me. What do you reckon, Jeff? You think we're going to see anything on Project Dragon in any way? Too far out?
No, it's too far out. It's too far. I mean, they're going to talk about some games that are pretty far out, but I think like 2023 is like what pretty far out will be for this E3. And that's not too bad, because you think about like you're going to announce some games now, and then you're going to be in a position at next year's E3. And I know people are tired of waiting, but whatever, you just get used to it. Next E3, where they could be like, now here's gameplay for like 10 of those games that we've talked about. And 2023 is going to be seriously good. And we're sorry you had to wait so long, but we are making it up to you. And look at all these games and all this gameplay, and it's going to be really great. If it's 2024, and which is probably like the target right now for Dragon, and a lot of these other games probably will slip into 2024. Well, not a lot of them, but a few of them will. They're just going to avoid talking about those ones until later on. And that could be the kind of thing that gets a CG. That could get a CG trailer at the Game Awards or something like that. I think E3 might be the wrong audience to be like, hey, come work on this. That might be for something that might be better for Game Awards or something like that, or even like a GDC presentation or something like that next year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. And I guess the other one that's got a code name of sorts is Omen. Now, this is
the vampire game.
This is, again, Windows Central. Jez showing up the leaks, and we're very glad that the Xbox 2 isn't on tonight. Because every time we do a live show, they always seem to schedule ours.
Aren't they on? I thought they were.
No, he couldn't find Rand. Rand's just disappeared off the face of the planet. So it's we're enjoying the limelight for a change.
He made a bad pun about the Typhoon game, and with this hint, and they came for him. The ninjas came.
They came. So, they took him down.
Hold on, Georgie for $1.99. Next rare IP revival. Heard anything? Viva Piñata.
I want to talk about this. In our video, we threw Banjo-Kazooie out because I always do at the end because we've said this 1,000 times. Spyro and Crash, the remasters have proven that there's a market for these games and they do sell and they're fun.
I know.
And they should just get, Banjo 1 isn't exactly a demanding game. Remaster it until it's, a mirror shine of all these modern fur graphics, everything you want to throw
make it look like CG almost.
And release it, right? And then Mike Chapman from Rare put a tweet out like 2 days ago of him playing Banjo and being like, daydreaming before and it's like, dude, why do you guys always do this? Every E3, you're breaking every Banjo's fan's heart. I think they like doing it at this point.
That's what they should open the show with. The Banjo remake.
Remaster. Yeah, be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgie, I agree. I think how many times have I said Viva Piñata should come back?
Viva Piñata is where you like start like your family game appeal because it's got that wide appeal. It's not just for kids; it's for families. You play together with your children.
You can put it on anything.
Yes, you can put it on anything. Right, exactly. It'll be great. It'll play great over the cloud on touchscreen, things like that. There are a million reasons to do this game, but Rare is at capacity. Rare
Rare wouldn't be doing it. No way.
Yes, Rare absolutely wouldn't be doing it. But then you ask around, it's like, are there any studios that Microsoft own that could do it? Most of them probably wouldn't want to. Yeah. Most of them are going to do what they want. They're going to do what they were required to do, which is make the games that they were already making before, just bigger. And so they'd have to make a global publishing deal, which is possible, but there's not a lot of studios out there. That's the thing. There's just not a lot of studios out there that are ready to do this kind of work. It's tough to make happen.
Maybe they tap someone unexpected on the shoulder. Like who would have guessed Double Helix could have done Killer Instinct before they did it.
Something like that again, yeah.
There might be a studio out there that, I don't know, maybe they make a pitch and they're like, this is our vision for Viva Piñata. What do you think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd love to see it. There is an element of like, I don't know, did you guys ever see the cartoon that they did to try and really appeal to the families?
I saw one episode.
It was very, as a British person, sorry Yanks, all right, it was very American, where I, kind of made me want to throw up at times because it was just so overly cutesy and for the kids. And there was a part of me
and beans for breakfast.
Yeah, none of the good British humor, Ministry of Silly Walks and things like that. And there was a part of me that was like, maybe that's why it failed. I don't know. I would love to see Viva Piñata come back.
It was ahead of its time.
Such a charming game, and it could have been. Yeah. It could have been Microsoft Animal Crossing if they'd really, if it come out now. Yeah. But it's too late.
It's a fantastic game. Yeah. Both games are fantastic.
Never say never. Yeah. Never say never.
Yep. Let's get through the super
Dark
chats.
91. Yeah, Alexander Dark 91, $5. Thank you very much. Great show as always, guys. Can't wait for the Rumour Mill. Yeah.
Yeah, Rumour Mill's going to be a fun one in a minute because we spoke about it before we went live.
Look, trust me, that's why you saw me in DM so much. Like, I said to my guy, I said, please tell me word for word what I'm allowed to say, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to say more than I'm supposed to say. So I've got the quote in front of me. So it's not much, but it's
something.
Brett Bingham. Jeff, any chances we will see a preview of Spielberg's Halo series that's coming to Paramount Plus in early 2022?
Good call.
Yeah, that seems like it's in the realm of possibility. I don't know if we'll see it at E3. We gotta remember, Microsoft's still shell shocked from talking about TV in any capacity at E3. Right. So I don't know. I'm gonna lean towards no, but there is a possibility.
I'll be happy. The Halo fanboy in me wants to see it.
Mima Witch, $4.99. Any truth that Xbox is about to announce they have purchased a Japanese game studio?
I don't think so.
I know they were looking at Square. I know.
Yeah, I think they're looking around a lot. I think the M&A team, the mergers and acquisitions team, is almost certainly busy looking at WB right now. There's a lot of blood linked between those two companies. Matt Booty comes from WB. Yep. He's intimately familiar with what those studios can do, what IPs they own. Like, he understands it all already. And so he's like got a good idea of what they're worth and probably trying to get a good deal on some of these things. Whether or not any of that stuff pans out, Who knows? This is what. Keep in mind, these conversations happen all the time. They happen all the time. They're always talking about everything, about buying everything. They have a lot of money. They're thinking about buying everything. Just like you go shop online, you're like, I mean, I should buy a boat. Like they're doing that all the time. But that doesn't mean it always turns like you close the tab and you forget about it for 2 weeks or whatever. They do that too. But I the idea of them buying a Japanese studio and it being announced anytime soon, I don't think anything is imminent. I don't think anything is imminent. I think these things are they're in flux. They're in conversation.
Not Japanese.
I don't think anything's especially not Japanese. I don't think nothing's close.
Yeah.
But the thing that's in Japanese that's in Japan that's close is Kojima. Kojima's that deal they're still talking about that. I know he's retweeting Sony stuff. Nothing in that deal with Microsoft would preclude him from working with Sony too. It would not be an exclusive deal. He could make this game with Microsoft and still go work with Sony if he wants. But that's totally still in the cards. But he's definitely still talking to Microsoft. That is not fallen through yet. That deal is still in negotiations.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, we've got one more from Cerys.
Cerys?
I feel bad Sick has been left out in this panel of untruths. Can you please tell us an extravagant lie, please? Something like you burrowed out of a desert prison with a melon baller.
Lie about something.
Come on.
What can I lie about? I once, while in a charity shop, was trying on a set of pink knee-high boots, and the charity shop owner sold my shoes whilst I was trying them on.
I believe every word of that, though. That's the thing. I believe all of that.
Just crazy enough to be true.
Yep.
You can decide. I've been watching a lot of Would You Lie to Me, which if you haven't seen is a UK show. It's very funny. Okay. Now, where were we? We've done
121. One more. Scarecrow 121.
The super chat.
I woke up early on my day off to be here, team. Thank you, Scarecrow 121. So he's Aussie, remember? So yes, he would have woken up early too.
Yeah. We were just talking about codename Omen, the vampire game that Jez has teased.
Yes.
Now, to set this up for people that aren't aware, so
we mentioned it too.
Arkane, we put it in our video too. So Arkane, they have two studios, Leon and Austin. Leon is the team, I believe, that is working on Deathloop at the moment. Austin released PrE back in, keep me honest here, people, 2017. I want to say. I think that sounds about right.
I think so.
That sounds right. Yeah.
What have they been making? 3 years is a decent enough time to make a video game. Could we see something announced? We've heard it's vampires. We don't know much more than that, or at least I certainly don't. Jeff, I don't know if you have any extra nuggets of truth or speculation you can drip.
That's most of it. I've like seen a few things here or there, but it's mostly just like, it is in line with what we've heard. Vampires and like
vampire themed RPG.
Yeah, giant flying bats and stuff like that sort of thing. I honestly, the Omen name always, I think was very suggestive to me. Always like trying to sort of call to mind Blood Omen and Soul Reaver and stuff like that. But they don't own that. They don't own that IP, so I don't think that. I think that maybe it's just them like making their own spiritual successor to that, and like, or trying to like, call that to mind because that's what they want people to think when they play it or something like that. Or maybe it's just Omen is some like vampire idea that I'm not realizing is actually way more common than I'm thinking.
I actually hope that's the name.
Yeah,
I think that's I think Omen is at least like the Omen would be a pretty good name for a video game. I think
the thing is, there's lots of films. There was the sequel to The Exorcist, which I think was called The Omen. The Omen is a general name. When I googled it, you get a lot of stuff back, and I think from a copyright perspective,
it seems unlikely. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Not sure, but.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be it's gonna be like a pretty it'll get announced here. Yeah. And I think it's like a 2023 game.
A couple of weeks ago, don't you remember? We had our Rumour Mill spoiled.
Yeah, I remember.
Because someone posted it on Reset. They got to it before us. But I got told it is being announced at E3.
And I have to wonder if it's going to be another, immersive sim, sandboxy style.
It's what they do.
It's what they do, and they do it very, very well, let's be honest. So, Scarecrow121 again. I heard that Jeff Grubb can bench press 10 PS3 dev kits while singing the national anthem. Sounds reasonable, actually.
It's all set up right over there. Yeah, I'm gonna go do it right when we're done. Yep.
That's my workout routine.
It's my workout routine, exactly.
What else have we got? I think at that point,
are we still not? Are we not still on our predictions?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, what's the next? Okay. What's the next prediction or game that I think is worth mentioning? Go on.
Can I say one?
Yeah, go on, please.
Because I lie, so I'm allowed to predict now.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we will. I think we might see like an unexpected third-party partnership exclusive thing.
Okay.
I think.
What, beyond Project Typhoon as an example?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like Project Typhoon is like a global publisher, so that's like a first-party game.
Yeah.
And so you're saying like, are you saying something more along the lines of like
third party?
Yeah, like Mario plus Rabbids, where like Nintendo worked with Ubisoft, but Ubisoft made and published that game, and it's a third-party game, but it's like exclusive to Switch, something along those lines.
Yeah, are you talking exclusive to Xbox, or are you talking like it's a Cyberpunk 2077 reveal?
Or maybe no, I'm thinking more of like a Bayonetta type situation.
Oh.
Okay.
More like that. Is what I'm thinking in my head. Like,
all right, I got you. That makes sense.
Like some third parties making a game, and maybe it's exclusive to Xbox. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Prediction, just a prediction.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a fair one.
Can I get you guys like lightning take on we've been over a lot of these games that aren't going to be there, but like or might be there. What do you? Okay, so Hellblade 2, yes or no?
Well,
no,
so
I don't think so.
You and I have spoken, Jeff, and originally I had said no, Hellblade's going to be there, and then you're like, I don't think Hellblade's going to be there. But then Rand jumped into our chat. Was it last week or the week before, John?
It was last week, I think.
Yeah, Rand jumped into our chat on a couple of weeks ago, if it was a live show.
Yeah.
And intimated or alluded to the fact that Hellblade 2 might be back in. So
yes,
I think they're debating whether to put it back or not.
I think that those conversations probably are happening. I still think that it probably won't be, but if it is, it'll be more CG. That's the problem. That's the thing.
And that's the thing. Right. Like, as a person watching this and wanting to see more on that game, sorry, I want to see gameplay now. Like, if you had your CG moment in the sun, it's time for gameplay. I mean, I don't know if anyone watched it. The dev diary for the actress that's playing Senua was quite interesting about all the combat and motion capture stuff that she's been doing. So it's super, super interesting. I'm very intrigued to see what they do with that game, because it's just such a great mythology around it that it's built around, and seeing it go full into combat, and the giant troll coming up over the man, ooh, tingles. I can't wait to see it. And I think Ninja Theory are going to really come into their own this generation. I'm really excited to see what they make.
Yeah, I think that's right. What about Everwild?
I don't think we'll see a damn thing on Everwild.
No.
We've seen, is it 2
I reckon
CGs
that game
now?
got rebooted.
Yep, I think that's right too. Avowed.
Yes, I think we're going to see something on Avowed.
I don't know. I don't know with Avowed. I keep hearing different things. Like, I had heard nothing about Avowed. Then all of a sudden I'm hearing, Avowed's probably going to be there. And then I heard, no, Avowed. I don't know where I'm hearing about Avowed. Where's Avowed coming from? I have no idea about Avowed. I don't know what to expect there.
I
think it's probably not. I still think it's probably not. Yeah, I don't believe. And there's been like a lot of back and forth, but I think it's probably not going to be there.
Good question from Sappho. What about Project Mara? Yeah, I wonder how far along that is.
That's after Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
That is definitely coming after Hellblade 2.
Okay.
Yep.
LV7 again in the super chat. We'll see Japanese collabs like Lost Odyssey again.
Ooh.
I don't know. Hope so.
I think it's on the table. I don't know if we'll see anything here though, but I think it's on the table.
At the moment, they're very busy getting older games onto Game Pass, like Yakuza and
Dragon Quest
and stuff like that.
Okay, well, as we're on that segue, let's talk about that quickly. There was a thing that came out today that said Persona had a store listing. I think we put it up. After a lot more digging, it turned out that it was not necessarily the correct store listing. So we updated the article. But for the record, we still fully believe Persona is going to come. And we do expect, right? We expect it to be announced on the E3 stage.
I don't know. That part, I don't know. Because everyone's been at me on Twitter about this one.
I bet they have.
I haven't heard anything about Persona since March. So I don't know whether to expect. It would be a huge E3 announcement.
Yeah.
That would be the time to announce it for Impact, yes, but I haven't heard anything. But I'm not backing down. That game's coming.
I think that's right. Where it's, I haven't heard that it would. I think I asked, and the person said, if it's happening, I haven't heard that's going to happen at E3. So yeah.
Bummer. Raymond Morgos in the chat. Is Crackdown dead? Not in my heart. Not in my heart.
Probably, yeah.
It's
Crackdown got done dirty, man.
Yeah, it didn't.
Crackdown got done dirty. Seriously. Brett Bingham. Jeff, you think this play or pay mentality Sony does in possible retaliation to exclusivity deals with third-party publishers will backfire?
I think I understand what you're asking. It kind of maybe. The problem is that Sony working with Sony makes people a lot of money, and Sony knows this, and they wield it in a way that like a lot of companies do when they're market leader, and so people sort of understand it. And like Sony's gonna be like, if you were in our position, you would do the same thing. And a lot of companies that work with Sony would be like, yeah, that's a good point. I think that there is the possibility that enough people get burned or enough people feel frightened, or if Microsoft really starts doing very, very well and people are happy going to work with Microsoft, and Microsoft kind of keeps a chill attitude and keeps those chill vibes, and people are like, this,
yeah, man, they just pay us over.
They just pay us money and get us a bunch of people to play our games, and all that stuff feels really good. We're just gonna keep doing that, and you can get mad at us, and you could like try to figure out ways to retaliate. Which again, this is I think people like imagine like some like cloak and dagger stuff. It's just gonna be like Sony might not give you the prime placement in a one of their presentations in the future. They might pull you from the state of play. That's the kind of retaliation I'm talking about, which I don't think is that harsh, and I don't think it's that big a deal. But these companies are worried about that, and they do think about those sorts of things. So it's not like some real terrible situation, but it's the kind of thing where it's like if Microsoft can position themselves as the chill alternative, a lot of companies might respond to that.
Yeah.
I think so. Kawaii Squad. Is Scarlett Nexus going to be on Game Pass? When's that game due to come out?
There was a demo, but I have to admit,
I think it is.
It's not my forte.
It would make sense. I personally haven't heard anything, but it would make sense.
Yeah.
Scarlett Nexus.
I think it's a Game Pass Day One game. I think is what I heard. The thing about Game Pass Day One deals, especially for anything that's like relatively big, those deals get made very, very late. Those deals like. Outriders deal probably got made a couple of weeks before we heard about it, like maybe even only like a week before we heard about it. So, and that deal, and we heard about it like a month before it came out, not even like a couple of weeks before it came out. So that's how close to the end that they cut it. And I think that's just because everyone wants to fully understand their metrics before they commit anything to paper and say, yeah, we're going to do this. Yep. Scarlett Nexus might be on that tier down where it's like, Microsoft's probably going to give you quite a bit of money to get this cool anime game that people seem to like, and it's probably more than you'll get otherwise. And then you're still gonna get sales because we see that these games still sell. So I think they might have secured this one. So, yeah,
it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And a very important question here from Mima Witch. Jeff, is the world flat?
Is the world flat?
I love the podcast.
I mean, listen, if it wasn't, the plane, Australia also doesn't exist, by the way. Yeah, if you're on the plane and it goes upside down, you have to constantly pointing the nose down.
That's right.
Yeah, think about it.
All the blood would be rushing to my head. Of course, the world's
it's buoyancy. It's why if you go into a vacuum, you can just jump up into the ceiling because buoyancy. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you two.
I watched too many of those documentaries, and
Good Lord. Well, yeah. What else? What else is on the cards? I'm trying to think.
I think there will be a healthy Japanese flavor to their E3.
Okay. I think it'll be like stuff like Scarlet Nexus. I think it's gonna be some anime games there. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, maybe something from Square. They're pretty chummy with Square and Game Pass. Maybe Sega.
Yeah,
I know Sega loves Game Pass. They love Game Pass.
I love Game Pass. It's changed how I play games. It's good.
It might be Sega then.
Yeah. Any others you can think of, guys, before we move on?
There's the smaller stuff like they're gonna Flight Sim for console. Age of Empires 4,
Psychonauts 2.
Age of Empires 4. Yeah, Psychonauts 2 will get a date in August probably.
I don't think we'll see Age 4 considering they did their big. the big gameplay event stream. I think that was its
moment. They'll probably talk a little bit about it, but you're right. They focused on a lot there. If it might show up in like a sizzle reel, something like that. But I think it'll make an appearance because I think
we'll get an indie sizzle reel.
Yes, we'll definitely get an indie sizzle reel. But I think Age of Empires 4 is like one of their PC things, and I don't think they want to like do anything that's just PC isn't important to them, and that means including Age of Empires 4 here. So I think they will to some degree.
Makes sense.
Actually, here's one. So we had it in our rumor mill back in January about Hades coming to Xbox. They'll put it as part of the sizzle reel, maybe at E3.
Yep.
Hades on Xbox.
I expect updates, release dates, maybe some new trailers for the Gunk, which we know now is an exclusive in perpetuity, thanks to Epic versus Apple. 12 minutes. I cannot wait to play that. I'm expecting to see that. And I think Annapurna tweeted today, actually, soon, everyone, soon. So I'm expecting lots from them. I did see someone in the chat. They didn't super chat it, but I loved Playdead's Inside. So are we going to see Playdead's new game? And they've always been traditionally revealed and had some sort of exclusivity period with Xbox. I think Limbo did, Inside did. What's the follow-up going to be? It had that space Martian barn thing going on. So yeah, could we see that? I have no idea. But I would be very happy to.
George is asking me and Jeff, are you guys going to bring up Wolfenstein 3?
That's a good question. That's another good one. Wolfie.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be there. I was really hoping it would be, but I don't think it will be.
So
yeah, and I don't know what the state of that game is. Like, do they just put it off and maybe come back to it someday after Indiana Jones? That'd be really disappointing.
That's what I'm
thinking. Years and years away, but like,
that's what I'm
I think there's a possibility that's what's happening, and that'd be very sad for me because I really want that series done. I want to see what happens next. Finish the story, but
I would wager that if I had to guess, it's probably a case of Wolfenstein 3 will happen at some point down the road after Indie.
Do you think we'll see Indie in any shape or form, or is that too soon?
Surely. No, I don't think so. Why not? No?
Well, this is the question, right? If they were making Wolfenstein 3 and then they pitched Indie and they got that, how long have they been working on Indie if they haven't been working on Wolfenstein? You remember the last mainline Wolfenstein game came out in 2016, 2017? I can't remember now. A while ago, 3 years, something like that. I know they did some stuff on Youngblood, but I can't remember how much. And by that point, the engine's very mature. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see some Indiana Jones. It'd be very cool. There's that Disney presence, right? The alluded Disney presence at E3. Maybe that's it. Who knows?
Star Wars.
Or Star Wars. There's so much. There's so much possibilities. Super chat at the moment. We've got Devious or Devious,
Devious, yeah.
Are we going to get any surprises from Xbox Publishing or second-party titles that will be exclusive to Xbox, or does Xbox just not want to do that anymore?
No, they do.
They do.
That's what we're talking about with something like that's what Typhoon is. I mean, second-party isn't a real thing. You're talking about like studios that Microsoft doesn't own, but it's publishing as a first-party game. That's what that is. It's a first-party game. But it's what we, as like just fans who don't understand the business, call second party. That's what Typhoon is.
Yeah.
So they are absolutely doing that, and that's what Xbox Global Publishing is doing. And they're not just going to stop with Typhoon. They're looking to make more deals like that as well. So but you'll see at least one of those games here at this show.
Britt Bingham, do you think it's possible the partnership with Nintendo could mean a shared ownership of a third-party Japanese developer or IPs? No.
No,
I can't say what that Nintendo deal is, but that's not what it is.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
But I can't say what it is.
Yeah. What do we want to talk about Nintendo in any shape and form? You know, the rumor mill has been churning with Microsoft and Nintendo working together on something. Lots of people have naturally assumed Game Pass on the Switch. Do we think that's a reality? Do we think we're going to see that?
No. That announcement of that deal is in the fall.
Okay.
It is not in E3.
Fair enough.
That's kind of what I always heard. Yeah.
I said it in my tweet. You will hear more in the fall.
Okay. So I guess then the last thing I would probably bring up is, speaking of Game Pass and the service that we get from Microsoft and the Xbox team, EA Play was the big deal last year.
Ubisoft's next.
Ubisoft has been doing the rounds, right? Do we expect that to be announced at E3 for the fall? Coming this fall, we're pleased to announce, whatever tiers of Ubisoft games coming in.
That's an interesting question for many reasons. That is a very, very interesting question, because you think to yourself, well, yeah, why wouldn't you announce it at E3? Hey, guess what? Ubisoft games, or there'll be a branding to it, because
of course
there's always branding to I don't know what that branding is. I've always just kept saying a Vault style thing. Let's just call it, because remember there was that leak that said those tiers of Ubisoft Plus, Basic. So for the sake of making this easier to talk about, let's just call it the Ubisoft Plus Basic. It would make sense to say at E3, hey, Ubisoft Plus Basic is coming to Game Pass. But then I think to myself, would they announce it at E3? Like, would they announce it so far in advance of it happening? Because it's not happening before, like, November. Because in my mind, I just think to myself, if they announce at E3 that Ubisoft Plus Basic is coming to Game Pass,
what does it do?
Would that not then tank sales of Ubisoft's games between now and then?
That's a good question.
That's just all. I don't know. Microsoft and Ubisoft would know better than I would, but I'm just saying, would it not? Like, if you hear that at E3 and you were thinking of purchasing Immortals or Assassin's Creed, you'd be like, oh, I won't buy that now. I'll just sit and wait.
It's a good question.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I think that I haven't heard anything like that would happen here, and I'm not sure like how close that Ubisoft thing is to happening, or even if it will end up happening. It might just be it might look closer to some Ubisoft games get added, and it's not exactly like the EA Play thing. But either way, like the same problem exists. Like it's like if you probably announce that closer to like when it's actually coming into there, and I think that's probably later in the year than E3.
Yeah,
I will say that
much later.
I think that they are still very interested in, or not very. I think they are. They want to still push Game Pass very, very hard, in anything they can do to make it more appealing. Will be popping up, and like I teased Disney earlier. We'll probably separate from that tease. They'll probably be like, oh, Disney Plus is coming back into there, and like here's some more value adds to this.
Like an entertainment tier.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes, there'll be more stuff like that in there. They're just like really kind of make sure people think that's valuable. And maybe that's why like they are like maybe that's where like the WB stuff comes in, and maybe that is why they try to like make a really big push for WB, because then you want to have like you have just like HBO Max, they have like Cartoon Network and there's DC stuff and all this other stuff, and you want to go into Game Pass and you want to see Xbox and Bethesda and like DC stuff and Mortal Kombat. It's all these different tiers inside of there to really make it valuable. That stuff really makes that $15 feel like you're really getting a lot for it. So anything that if they could bring in a lot of Ubisoft stuff into there at that time, I think they'll do the same thing and try to have that tier in there as well next to EA Play or whatever. But
I think initially it'll come in at no extra cost.
Oh yes, yeah. They're not ready to do. They're not ready to do pricing tiers. They're not, and they're not ready to raise the price. They are still in hardcore acquisition mode. They're user acquisition mode. So
growth mode.
Growth mode. A price increase is way off, and really, I know the profitability question comes up a lot, and like, oh, it's pretty profitable. It's probably not exactly profitable. They are spending a lot of the money that they're making is what it is.
Yeah.
They do bring in a lot of money from this, but they spend a lot of that too, and that's totally part of the plan. And the idea of like slowing down that spending they are going to keep spending that money and probably end up spending a lot more than they're making because they want to grow. And so it's going to be a pretty good service for quite some time. And it's just going to get better, I think, through this next year, as especially because they don't have a ton of games coming out from first party. The Game Pass is going to be like a really good deal by the end of this year, where it's like there's going to be a lot more in there than we expect.
Yeah. And one last community super chat from DA Game here before we move on to, I guess, the Rumour Mill. Prep yourselves. Do you think the Microsoft Nintendo deal will benefit Xbox on a console level, or could it end up possibly harming third-party support outside of Game Pass? I.e., if I'm reading between the lines here, I think you're saying, well, every third party will be like, yeah, I want a Game Pass deal, or I'm not interested and I want this and I want that, and it just costs Microsoft? Is that kind of what you're hinting at?
Benefit Xbox on a console level.
I mean, like for selling Xboxes, basically, is that what they're trying to suggest?
Yeah,
I don't think it's not going to be like that. This is not going to introduce a lot of complexities in terms of consumers deciding what they're going to end up buying. I don't think that's going to be much of a concern. No.
And Vincent's got one in. What about hardware? Are we expecting any hardware announces like the Cloud Stick or whatever it's called?
No, I think if anything, they say that Game Pass is ready for TVs or something, or they talk about Game Pass. I'm sorry, XCloud is ready for TVs, or XCloud is ready for Xbox One. But that's this, or they talk about the pathway to getting to that point. But it's going to take some time to get those servers up with Xbox Series X blades. They'll try to get to that point by the end of this year. But that's also it's going to take time to update everything else that goes along with that. It's not just putting in taking one thing out, putting a new thing in. They're going to have to update everything.
Yeah.
And that'll take some time, but it'll happen, and they might talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I do wonder.
DO Game has clarified. My concern is more that third parties will go, we don't want Game Pass. We will skip Xbox since more players are on xCloud. So since they are on Switch, no need to port. Well, if anything, it would be the other way around.
That's not how it works.
Because the xCloud they are Xbox hardware. You are making the game for Xbox hardware.
Correct.
That's right.
That's what we were literally the Xbox Cloud is just an Xbox Series S or Xbox One S right now. By the end of this year, it will just be an Xbox Series X. So if you make a game for xCloud, you are inherently making it for Xbox Series X. And really, I think the one thing Microsoft might demand is if you're going to put a game on our service, and it's if it's especially if it's part of Game Pass, you also have to sell it. We are promising people options, and it's not going to just be on Game Pass. You have to also sell it in the store. So
if anything, in DO Game's situation, if anything, it helps Xbox get more ports. Because what third parties might turn around and do is go, the Switch hardware is too weak for us to port our game directly, and we can't be bothered reducing its quality to the point where it's really crappy. How about we just get it on xCloud so that people can play it on Switch that way?
Yeah, it opens up a big.
So if anything, it would.
Suave.
Yeah.
And you've got to presume that if that happens, Nintendo will get a cut of some financial benefit, right?
I'm
seeing whatever that ends up looking like. Yeah,
I'm seeing lots of hardware questions about pads. We've seen Jin's 001 Xbox handheld. That is xCloud. That is your handheld. I don't think you're ever going to see Microsoft make a dedicated.
Where did that rumor come from?
It's always been export.
I saw that floating around.
People just want it because, dedicated hardware has its benefits. The reason the Switch works is because it's a game system. It's not a phone. And so people want it. But I think that is Microsoft's position that the xCloud is the handheld. I think you're right.
One thing I do think we might see, and it's it's probably not going to be something at E3, but one thing I think in terms of hardware, we might see an Xbox special edition for Halo. Series X for Halo.
You said that ages ago.
Yeah, I think that a long time ago. I think we might see something like that, but I don't think we'll see that at E3 unless I'm very surprised. And Munty, here's $3. Go buy yourself something nice. Thanks, Sugar. We'll do. All right. It's the time that arguably 296 of the 298 viewers have been.
Oh wow, we're at nearly 300. Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy.
298.
The popularity of Jeff's hair being on this podcast. It's Rumour Mill time. Are we good for? Are we good to do the Rumour Mill?
Yeah. Again, it's not a big one.
Okay, I'm going to press. I'm going to press the button. If you're new to this podcast, enjoy this moment. You can't see this. The guys can't see this. The
audience. Somnia gonna get muted.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, Rumour Mill.
Okay.
Nick.
All right. So I've got the DM open. It's because we were talking before. There's been rumors floating around about IP acquisition and all this sort of stuff, and I was feverishly DMing back and forth. So with the IP acquisition stuff,
Jeff's out. He's like, screw this. I don't want to be seen on this.
Did he just walk? I'm just going back to Skype now, and he's just walked away.
He's like, nah, I'm not involved here. I'm not with these guys.
Okay. So, people were bugging me on Twitter about the acquisition of IP. I assumed, like, people were like, oh, what have you heard? What have you heard? I hadn't heard anything. I assumed, like, Konami, because Konami were the ones that sort of were kind of publicly out there shopping their IP around. But yeah, I don't know. But all I can say now is, I can't say names. I think IP acquisition is very likely that they have acquired an IP. But in terms of your expectation levels of this IP, I would set them to AA and not AAA.
Okay. But to be clear...
I said it's not much.
To be clear, just to annoy the audience, we spoke about this before we actually set the stream off, and we know who and what. But we're not allowed to say. Yeah, just to annoy. Right, I'll just make it clear. I've got to be the host with the most here. So the rumors are swirling. There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Not confirmed, but
I would set the expectation levels to AA and not AAA for that IP.
There you go.
It is likely. It is a likely acquisition.
Cool.
Nothing is ever 100% till it's 100%. Like the last time I think we said something 100% was with the Ubisoft stuff here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I wonder if it's like the reason it's popping off is because they are trying to get it done in time to talk about it at E3.
That's what I imagine.
Maybe.
I mean, it's hard not to draw those conclusions right now. I mean, they are going to be recording their stuff live to tape. And then they're going to hand it over to ESA and say, "Hey, play it at this time," and or the ESA like just throws them in the Microsoft plays it on their own channels as well.
Yeah, would that tape be done by now, or
would the tape be done by now? Exactly. I think we're at a point where I think we're at a point at least where there are so many moving parts, so many people involved that at the very least it might be content locked, where it's like, hey, we know what's going to be in the show, and if there's something else happens, well, too bad. We have people that we are paying to like do this stuff. We can't jerk them around by the chain around their neck and say, no, you need to get back and start over, figure out how to fit this in there. If something's big enough, or if they are recording it this week, like they could still do it. But I think there's a good chance that they might be at a point where these things have already been decided about what's going to be in E3, and they're not going to try to force it because that might cause problems of their own. So, but. Still, I mean, maybe, or maybe the reason we're hearing about it is because it is in that E3 thing, and it's people are starting to find out about it. So I don't know. I think that would be very exciting to hear about at E3.
Yeah,
Luis Fernando Cruz. Does Microsoft care about Metal Gear Solid? I assume he's talking about IP to buy it from Konami. And see, that's what I was speculating on Twitter when people were like, "Oh, have you heard anything?" I'm like, I haven't heard anything, but I'd assume it's Konami. And if it was Konami, what would they be interested in? They'd be interested in Metal Gear, Silent Hill. Like, I was just connecting dots. Like, so we heard about Kojima's deal. We hear about Konami shopping around IP. We hear about Microsoft potentially wanting to buy IP. Connect those dots. Are Microsoft trying to buy Metal Gear and Silent Hill to let Kojima make them again? Like I don't know. It's just,
yeah. You can understand why you arrive at that conclusion. I get that.
It's not a stretch. Like if all those rumors are true.
Kojima's game is almost certainly going to be something. I guess it could still use another IP though. It could use like an existing IP, but like it is going to be that cloud game he was going to make for Stadia. And Microsoft is specifically going to be like, yes, make that cloud game. We have the infrastructure to do that, but that doesn't mean he couldn't apply like fucking Zone of the Enders or whatever to it, or Metal Gear Solid. So yeah, I guess there's no reason why one doesn't mean the other.
Diogo, any hints, Eastern or Western, active or hiatus?
No.
Oh, you can answer both of these, though.
I can't say a single. Oh. Is he asking about what I just hinted at?
Yeah, like
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I can't say anything. Seriously, I can't say anything.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of surprised I was allowed to say what I could, to be honest.
Okay, there you go. It's an interesting rumor. Look, knowing our luck, we'll hold on to it, and then Jez will just release it tomorrow or something. Right, so it's at this point in our podcast that we pause for a moment and we want to thank our patrons. So if you're new to XboxEra, and granted, and thank you, by the way, this is our biggest live stream thus far ever, which is super cool. So it's really nice. There's probably quite a few new faces. Thank you for being here. But we have a Patreon. If you love what we do and you want to support us, one of the benefits of that is that you get to ask some community questions. But before we move on to community questions from our patrons, a quick shout out to all of them because they're lovely people. So Dylan, Blaster Bass, Nodorius, Not Jack, Scarecrow121, Torn Raptor, Crazy Spaz, VK Andrew, Brit, Keris, Nottian, Gabquist, Hexa, J Rapper, Kit K. What was I lost the ability to speak. Kiroi Senko, Cartoon Soldier, Red Sun, Saint Earth, Shadowgasm, Running Riot, and Croat 56. I'm keeping it. Thank you very much for all of your support. And community questions. I think there's quite a lot. Now we have to be time conscious here because, you know, Jeff wants to go and have beers and stuff. So we've got around 40-ish minutes, right? We've probably got a little leeway, so we're going to try and get through these. We'll still be responding to Super Chat. So before we dive in...
Panchito in the Super Chat while we're there. I think it's a Plague Tale paired with the Sobar acquisition. This IP is owned by Focus Home, so Microsoft needs to buy it to let Asobo continue working on it. Like I said, I'm not saying anything. I'm not giving names. I was told no names. Do not give names.
There you go.
So I'm not giving names.
No names.
Very, very sternly told no names. Okay. To the community questions. Don Cabeza, Jeff, thank you for telling the world the truth about Sonic fans. Let it be known by all just how unbelievably horny they are for Sonic and his furry pals. You're not afraid of the truth, and I'm proud of you.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid anymore.
Sonic's the best. Sonic's better than Mario.
God. That wasn't even a question. It was just a statement of pride.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Video game. Hello, prodigious assortment and the great Jeff Grubb. I think Nick is going to like this question in particular. I went to McDonald's this week and ordered the BTS meal, their third such celebrity collaboration and their first to be a group instead of an individual. Well, what else is a bigger brand but a bigger group? What else is a brand but a bigger group? Sorry. McDonald's and Xbox have been pretty close here in Canada, and Xbox is a regular top-of-the-line prize during Monopoly. That leads me to today's question. Suppose McDonald's goes to Xbox and says, we want to make the Xbox meal. What should be in it? Personally, my thought process is a Moa Mac, which is a Big Mac that swaps out the processed cheese for mozzarella or Swiss and lettuce for coleslaw. Herb fries, which is something they served here for Christmas a few years back. It was their fries served with a packet of extremely green-looking herbs you would shake all over the fries. Perfect for Team Green. A Shamrock Shake. If it can be repurposed for Shrek, it can be repurposed for Xbox, eh? Mm-hmm. What is your dream Xbox meal? That is so random.
So he said it was in Canada, right? And there is a former Xbox executive who's from Canada. His name's Don Matrick. And so let's do the Don Matrick meal instead. And it just comes with Kinect. You have to get it with Kinect. It costs $500. And that's it. And it doesn't plug into anything. It just comes with one right there in the box. It's all sitting out of there awkwardly and stuff. Yeah, that's my meal. So,
I would argue Australia already has the Xbox meal. We've got some big ass Macca's burgers here. Like there's this barbecue bacon Angus burger, which is so good. Yeah. Angus patty and bacon and barbecue sauce and so
McDonald's
good.
Is gross.
So good.
In the UK,
McDonald's is so good.
You know,
is it?
Yeah, it's pretty rank, man. It's like it's the least favourite place I would go and eat.
Breakfast, no. Australian Macca's. Australian Macca's is top shelf.
I was going to make an Ed Freeze joke because I saw fries there, but you know,
fries,
I can't beat. I can't beat the Don Matrick burger, which is just a connect between two pieces of bread.
The Don Matrick burger with the Ed fries.
God. Yeah.
That's a good one.
And then afterwards,
I went to McDonald's the other day to get their Sprite we were talking about in the podcast. And,
the Sprite.
We found out that they refrigerate. They have a deal with Coca-Cola to refrigerate the syrup. The fountain syrup all the way to the shops, and then they keep it refrigerated, and that's what helps it taste so good. And I'm like, well, it works because I drink that Sprite and it was tasty. Some good drinking.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because in Australia we seem to have the opposite problem. We all think the drinks taste crap here, but the food is good here, but the drinks are.
I think you know what that your part of the world is like. The McDonald's is like really well beloved in like Japan and stuff. Like the people go to Japan. The McDonald's Japan like has like crazy burgers every month. Yeah, people really love it there. So yeah, maybe you guys got that real food there. Because the McDonald's here, the food, okay.
It was good. It was great in the Netherlands, but UK, it's just everything's damp and soggy, and it's just really uninteresting and like But yeah, great question.
Go to a pub and get a real burger, Nick. Here's $5 to help pay for it. Trust me, I have real burgers. Like burgers are a big thing down here. Like even Carl's Jr. opened up down here. Last night for dinner, I ate a burger from a place called New York Minute, and they made this burger with like meat and bacon and pulled pork and all these things in it. It's like a heart attack burger. Don't worry, I have burgers. Don't worry about that.
Friendly note, I like barbecuing a lot. Patrons, remind me, put a thread up in our Patreon lounge on XboxEra.com and ask for pictures of burgers, and I will supply some of my creations because I think I've got pretty good at this. Like if I'm gonna make a burger, I'm gonna make a burger. Okay. Good question, Diego.
Next,
thank you.
Fable Hype. Hello, Nick, John, and Jeff. I'm sorry this is not an Xbox question, but I want to know what excites you more, Jeff: Breath of the Wild 2 at E3 or a brand new 2.5D Metroid game? Thank you for the amazing content as always. Love, Nintendo the GOAT.
Good question. I think Breath of the Wild 2 because the thing is, there's a lot of very good Metroidvania games now, and like I got my new 2.5D Symphony of the Night with Ritual of the Night, and it's good. I like that game quite a bit. It's very good, but it doesn't quite measure up to some of the best current Metroidvania games. And I'm afraid the same thing could happen here. It is going to be I can never remember the name of the studio. Steam, Mercury Steam.
Yeah.
Yes. They did the last one, and I thought that the 3DS one was okay, but it was very focused on combat, and it was okay. And I'm like worried that we could get another one that's just kind of okay. And these days, an okay Metroidvania game is kind of a waste of time, like because there's so many better options out there. Like I haven't even played through Hollow Knight yet, so it's like. I could have spent that time playing through Hollow Knight instead. But if it's fantastic, if it feels like no, this is Metroid 5, this is like the next Metroid 2D Metroid game, that'll be great. I just don't have high hopes for that, and I have very high hopes for Breath of the Wild 2, and I think they'll deliver. And I think that game's going to be weird and cool, and so definitely that one.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2. I have to call it out here. I bounced right off Hollow Knight. I know that's probably going to offend a lot of people in the chat.
I did too, but I bet if I give it another chance, I'll get into it. I think I need to just give it a few more chances.
And I have to call this out because it's a really nice comment. Super Gunslinger 64. I just lost my Patreon virginity to you guys. Been listening to you for 4 months now, and it's my favorite podcast. Love Jeff's too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Super Gunslinger.
64.
See, Nintendo 64. He knows.
He knows. Now, Nick, I've noticed you're wearing a certain piece of attire.
I am.
Brace myself. It's a Cerys question.
Which tells you what's coming up. Okay. Cerys. All right, here we go. Okay, so it's a long one, so Dio can go first. It's funny how these two have this thing going now.
Oh my god.
Hello, panel, and hello, lovely Jeff. Happy Pride Month. I thought I would ask a real question this week to celebrate Pride, and I want to impress Jeff. However, the price of a real question is a tale of yore. Let me set the scene. It's the late 90s. Lola Rent was in cinemas. The greatest song ever written, Five's Keep On Movin' was released. Oh my God. Okay. I left college and was immediately hired as the theatre studies technician. It was a great job. It was a posh southern town, and as a filthy northerner, I was something grubby yet fresh. I could park in the teacher's car park and go to the pub with the rest of the art department for a liquid lunch and discuss Cézanne. At one point, I did a teaching qualification so I could teach students why not to say Macbeth, good luck, while on stage. Why not to say Macbeth, good luck, whistle on stage, get off with a production manager, and other such important theatrical things. Okay, I probably really butchered that whole sentence or two.
She's typing in very English right now.
Yeah, part of my final test was to teach the examiner something in 10 minutes. I chose juggling. I'm hardly a pro, but I'm pretty good, and it's very easy to teach someone to be able to throw 3 balls in 10 minutes. Question. The first. Imagine the XboxEra community are your students and you the teachers. What could you teach us in 10 minutes?
I've got this.
Okay.
You post about the studios in the studio thread. You post about the community in the community thread. They are 2 separate places.
Yes.
You've got a whole forum now. Go and enjoy it. Okay, that's I'm okay now. I just had to get that out.
See people, like I even see people posting about stuff that's like there's already a thread for it. Yet they'll go post about it in like either the community or the studios thread.
It's a hard habit to break, but we're gonna break you of it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I would teach people how to email. Emails do not need to be long ever. They need to have one sentence that says, "Hey, it's me," and then the next thing should be a bullet point saying what you need, and if necessary, the next bullet point should be why you need it. And then you get out of there. It should be like no email should be like more than like 3 or 4 sentences, and those sentences should be like separated with space, no blocks of text. Just say exactly what you need. You are leaving a message on someone's answering machine, and you don't want to do a preamble where like they're gonna like lose interest before you tell them what you need. Just get in and get out, and that's it. That's an email.
I'm having horrific flashbacks of some of the emails I've written to introduce XboxEra to publishers right now, and I'm thinking, oh no, oh god, no.
You got keep in mind, people's brains. This is part of the lesson. People's brains run on like 15 watts of power. Your computer runs on like 700 watts at like its maximum. Usually it's like around like 200 watts. Like computers need like so much power just to do shit your brain does very easily. But your brain is on 15 watts of power. And the reason it can do that is because it's not paying attention most of the time. It is on autopilot. It is just trying to get through the day. It is making connections where it can very easily because it's good at that. And a lot of times those connections are wrong, but the brain doesn't care as long as it gets you past that and gets you the next thing, gets you to like eat your meal and then go to sleep or whatever. 15 watts of power. So it's like, you got to keep in mind, anytime you are trying to get someone's attention, you are dealing with a brain that does not want to waste energy on paying attention to you.
That's a really good point.
You got to just give them what they need and get out and just hit them right away with the important information and then leave them alone. And then if they don't get back to you, whatever. But like, a very punchy email that hits a person with one sentence that tells them exactly what you need is going to get way more done than giving them details that you think they need that they do not care about and will forget. So that's how you email people.
I'm sensing there's a story there.
Yes.
there was too much passion in that for that to just be a random.
Hey, listen, I get a lot of emails. I'll say that. That's for sure. Yeah.
Fair.
Okay, to the second part because there's a second question and there's a super chat from one of Jeff's friends. Okay, meandering question. The second. To shill a different podcast which deserves love, go engage with it. I greatly enjoyed the Women of Xbox UK podcast this week, which featured Katie Jo Wright in her capacity as Director of Gaming for Everyone. In it, she tells a story of a presentation with a coalition who had not considered Gears 5 as a game for everyone, despite its diversity of characters, customizing swearing and gore, customize various assists, etc. Which leads me to my point, question, whatever. I champion more e-games for Xbox, as do many, but I get annoyed when so many responses are, well, a colourful platformer could cover that. I would like to enjoy a breadth of games with my family, and I believe children in particular are capable of handling more complex games, and such options like in Gears 5 help broaden the potential games we can play together, as do things like co-pilot mode. Co-pilot's really good. Now, perhaps my daughter and I won't be diving straight into Gears 5 this weekend, even with those options available, but do you agree that being able to modify any game such as you can for Gears can help to minimize the gap in e-content? And what other options could you think of to help? Cerys, hashtag Team E3 happens, just be patient.
Yeah, I think I get it. I understand what's happening here, and I think that's what I would love. I think on a platform level, there should be way more options to make games more accessible. I think like my kids are very interested in playing games with me, and really the games we can play are a Mario Kart 8, because you can set it the cart to basically drive itself and do the turning and accelerate by itself, and they get to the end of the race, and sometimes they like even win. And it's like this is fantastic. Why isn't this an option in more games? I bet it is. Nope, it's nowhere else. It's very frustrating. And it's almost like, you kind of just want to have, it's basically bumper bowling. You want to have set up a game to operate like bumpers, where it's basically if it detects the input stop, just start playing yourself. And it's probably the kid like just moving the controller around and not actually realizing it's not having an input, but like just keep it going. Let the kids see that the character's still doing things, and they'll figure it out. They'll figure out that they can, when they want to make adjustments, they'll figure it out. That would be great. I would love that to be in more games. And I would wish it would happen.
Copilot, Jeff?
I haven't tried it. So it you should. Like that is like they have a controller and I have a controller, and they both are like they're basically acting as one controller, right?
Yes.
I should give that a shot and see how that works. Yeah, definitely. Right. The thing is, they like the idea of like playing together and seeing two characters on screen. So it'd be like nice if they could have like an AI co-pilot, but it's nice to have a co-pilot as an option.
Yeah,
it's really good. And
go on, Nick.
I was going to say, for those that want to raise their kids right, Daytona USA has a mode where it drives and plays the music, and I used to, because I've got the 360 feedback wheel here, I just used to sit it on either my daughter or my son's lap, chuck Daytona in what's called, I think they call it karaoke mode, and the car just drives around the track, and they think they're playing. They got the steering wheel. It's great.
Yeah,
buy Daytona and do it.
There should be more stuff like that. I think it's a great call out. I mean, I am enjoying at the moment. My boy's just turned 7. We've been playing through some of the Halo campaigns together. And he's not the best, but I've kind of put him on that course that all parents put him through. Right, first of all, you have to get used to the idea of there being 2 sticks. Then one always does this and one always does that. And then you evolve them in that, being able to navigate the 3D space, and then they realize they can point. But Halo does have some cool stuff where it can auto recenter the aiming, so that they aren't constantly walking around looking at the floor or at the ceiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. There is nothing wrong with more and more systems to allow just anyone to play a game. And I think, more the last 2-3 years than any other time in gaming's sort of history, we're seeing more and more developers putting resources into those kinds of systems. I'm all for it. I think it's great. And can I just say, Cerys, as a member of XboxEra, who's been there since more or less we started, one of the best and most welcoming people on the forum. I see every single time in the introduce yourself thread, she's always there welcoming the next new person. So thank you, Cerys, not only for asking really good questions, but for being genuinely fantastic. You're a pleasure to have in amongst this community.
Yes. Now that question's finished, Mike Menotti in the super chat, Jeff.
You don't have to read this one. It's garbage. You don't have to read this garbage.
Hi, Jeff. Hollow Knight is about 10 times better than SteamWorld Dig 2. Have a nice weekend.
You're garbage, Mike. You're trash. You're a trash person. I will play Hollow Knight, and I'll probably enjoy it. You tried SteamWorld Dig 2, and you're like, oh, it's too hard. Okay, you didn't say that, but you just have bad taste. That's what it is. Get out of here, Mike Menotti. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Swing your rook.
I'm not gonna play it now. I'm gonna delete Hollow Knight from my Switch. That's what I'm gonna do.
No, that's where I got it. I got it on Switch as well. You're not missing much. It's okay.
Yep, I know. It's trash. Yeah.
You're not missing much.
Okay, I think we've got some quick fire ones now, so we can.
Yeah. Okay, Running Riot. What's up, Jeff and Panel? I'm going to piggyback off Kira's question a bit, as I agree Xbox and Game Pass need more E-rated content that kids could play. My question is, as dads, what age did your kids start playing games, and what were some of the first things they were able to play? I tried to get my daughter in. I've got a photo on my Instagram account of my daughter holding the Nintendo 64 controller. There's a CRT TV in the background with Yoshi's Story. I thought I'll start on Yoshi's Story. Her face is not impressed. I tried to get my kids into games very, very young. Failed at most of I was offering the wrong games, clearly. I tried Sonic 1 because it's like you just run in one direction and push one button. I thought, how much easier can you get than that? But, the game that did it was Minecraft and Roblox, and man.
Yeah,
that's similar all they story. Play. I mean, they play Fortnite now, though.
Yeah, my kid, I've not allowed my kid to move to Fortnite because it's against other people, and he'd want to play with his cousin, and I know you can control who they can speak to. Yeah, no.
Let me say, Fortnite's parental controls, I think, are better than just about anyone's.
Okay. I'll have a look at it. I just don't want to go down the route of then being asked to be buying V-Bucks and I need this.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. That's true. Because one of our friends, their kid bought like $200 worth of V-Bucks without them realizing. So yeah, that's a thing. But again, you can lock all that stuff down. Epic's actually brilliant about that. Like, no one can see my kids' names when they play Fortnite except the people on their friends list. You can block them from accepting friend requests. You can lock it right down.
Yeah,
it's quite good Fortnite.
Microsoft's family settings app is also extremely well done. I get notifications when he wants more time. I can limit when he plays, how he plays, who he plays with. It's really handy, and I'm very grateful that exists, because otherwise, if I were in charge, he'd just be playing whenever he wanted, and my wife would be very mad at me.
My kids, Emmy, the older one, she's 4. She has started running around in Mario Odyssey now, and she's like, let me play Mario. I'm like, okay. She just kind of runs around in the levels and does stuff like that. She doesn't,
my son's obsessed.
Getting yes. She really likes it a lot. And she was like kind of like getting away from us. She's like, I don't like Mario because Addie really likes Mario. Like, she just has Mario dolls and stuff and plays with that sort of thing. And so she's like, I don't like Mario. And then she played Odyssey, and she's like, I like Mario. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. But yeah, they both sit down and play some Mario Kart and stuff like that. But they play the thing they play the most, and if anyone ever sees my Discord and they're like, why are you playing these weird games? They play a bunch of stuff on the coloring games on my tablet, but they play Chuchel a lot. Chuchel is that sort of point and click, weird animated adventure game where you're just solving puzzles on the screen. It's kind of got that cute graphics. It came out a little bit ago, and it made a little bit of a splash when it launched. People were talking about it, but they play it all the time, and they just you just kind of you click on the screen, click on this little bean or something, and the guy goes and eats it, and he gets all big, and then that doesn't solve the puzzle, but the little hand will come down and pop him with a pin, and they'll go and they have fun with that sort of stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah, they play it, and they play that all the time. So
yeah, my son is obsessed with Mario Odyssey, and no matter what new Switch games I get him, he goes back to Mario Odyssey. So I got Bowser's Fury, I got Mario 3D All Stars, I got all these other games, and he just goes back. He's got 999 moons on Odyssey.
Oh wow,
he's
Jesus,
5.
Okay,
he is 5.
Wow.
He loves that goddamn game. Like, when Mario Odyssey 2 comes out, he's gonna lose his shit. He's absolutely gonna lose his shit.
Nah, you'll buy it for him, and he'll be like, I want to play the first one.
Yeah, he'll probably go back to the first one. Yeah,
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that Donkey Kong game's going to get announced, and he's going to be like, what is this? Where's Odyssey 2?
I got him Tropical Freeze as well.
Oh, yep.
I got him Tropical Freeze, and he played it a little bit, and then he just goes back to Odyssey. It's all he does.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, man.
It's unbelievable.
Single-minded.
And he knows how to use it. He throws Cappy, and then he jumps off Cappy, and he
That's awesome.
Long jumps, and oh my God, the kid's a freak. Anyway. Okay, good question. Phalaxis. Greetings, gents. If you could have anyone as a guest on the podcast, who would it be, and why? We've already had him 3 times.
Jeff Grubb. Right,
we've already had him.
Sold. There he is, right there.
And I think this is the guest you should have on the podcast. Is me.
That's
so
right.
We all agree.
We're aligned.
Although, why haven't I been on yours, Jeff?
We don't like guests on our podcast. Is honestly the answer. We don't. Even our editor Jason's is like, hey, we're gonna talk about game. I'm like, we talk about games at the very end. He's like, I've been playing a new game, and he's got a good point. We should have him on to talk about this new game. But then me and Mike are like, well, it kind of breaks up our flow. And we talk about games for 5 minutes at the end. We're gonna have him on for 2 hours at the end, talk about that game. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And also, we just vibing with me and Mike, and it's like anything. Also, I always feel bad because when I do my podcast, I'm always usually at home alone, especially during the school year, and the kids might cause a problem, and I feel like I am going to be wasting people's time if they're just sitting there for 10 minutes while I go to take care of my kids and stuff like that. I agree, these guest spots only when my kids are around or when my wife's around. So yeah.
I understand.
Mike just is afraid of people. Is actually what it is. Yeah,
Mike's in the chat still. He said, "We don't do guests, haha." And then he said, "Mike, Jeff is okay wasting my time." We're still trying to get an Xbox 4 episode going.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Which is me, John, Rand, and Jez. We are trying to make Xbox 4 happen.
Yeah, special edition.
I'm close. I'm close. It's like the Xbox Kojima negotiations. I'm getting close.
Yeah. Okay. The promise is there. You made the promissory note. Now you just got to see it through.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Look, for Lexus, we've said from the start we'd love to try and get Phil on, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah. That's going to be
try and get Phil one day. Okay, Cartoon Soldier. To the panel. Since we have the two people on the podcast who have talked about Elden Ring showings in the past, and one of whom has always been wrong about it, what's the deal with Elden Ring?
Both of us have always been wrong about it. What is it talking about?
I was about to say we've both been wrong about it.
Yeah.
Elden Ring. I don't know. I hope it gets cancelled.
Yeah, it's not real. So I don't even. Yeah, it was never. You can't get canceled if it was never real.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a concept.
Elden Ring.
It's coming soon. Jeff Keighley has it. That's why he's acting this way on Twitter, and he's not being all confident this time for real because he knows he shouldn't do this unless he has it. I mean, like he has the trailer. So, it's gonna happen soon.
There you go.
Elden Ring, friends we made along the way.
Yes.
Okay. Colbert. Question to Jeff Grubb. How much time does your hair need to dry after washing it?
Let's see, a while. But what I've done is, especially during the summer when it's, I don't blow dry because I'm very lazy. And that would take like a couple minutes. And the thing is, I am still at the point with young kids where I feel bad anytime I do anything for myself, including showering. And so, but like, I'll take a quick shower and I'll get out, and, like try to get dry and get dressed and get back to like helping like take care of the family or whatever. And so I try to cut out everything that's not necessary. So definitely not blow drying. At this point, I just put my hair back up like this and let it dry like that. And what happens is my hair is just thick enough and just curly enough that when I do that, when I pull it out, it's like got like the perfect sort of curls that I want and stuff. Volume. And so like it looks good. Yeah, it's got the good volume and stuff. Yeah, and it kind of gets like almost if I hadn't just washed it, it'd be like getting tangled, but it's like it's freshly washed and stuff, so it's like it's fine when I put it up. I guess if I would leave it down, it doesn't take long because I'm in Colorado and we're basically a high plains desert climate, and so it's very, very dry here. And so honestly, if I leave it out and I let it hang, it's like 30 minutes. It's dry. It's not that bad.
You go. Okay. Very, very detailed answer as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people would just brush that off, but you go right into the detail. I appreciate that.
Hey, people want to know. People want to know about the hair, so I'm not gonna like skip out on that. I'm gonna give them the whole thing.
Me about my hair.
Okay.
Well, you get some tips to Mike Minotti.
Yeah.
Okay. The Scarecrow 101. Hi, Jeff, and to the XboxEra team. With the most vocal of the gaming community screaming for more direct style events with a higher cadence from the traditional GDC, E3, Gamescom and Game Awards or quarterly events, do you see a push back towards the almost curated information releases we would get from monthly magazine releases?
PR has always wanted to control this stuff. I don't think that stuff has actually ever really changed that much.
No.
There will continue to be heavy PR beats where like this week we were talking about this and this week we're talking about that. The thing is, they've been doing this. It's just like if you go to like a game's YouTube channel, you'll see trailers for like this week we're talking about this truck in whatever game, and this week we're talking about this weapon. I think that stuff's going to continue to be just as produced as it ever was. I think what might change is how it's presented. There might be more people on screen because they have bigger teams to produce this stuff now because they hired up to be able to do these things themselves, every company. And so you might see better production values and maybe they do it more often, but it'll still kind of be what it's always been. And it's just them trying to create a conversation around their game based on the stuff that they think is exciting and players get excited about.
Yeah.
So,
I think
you know what I think?
Go on. I think you think what I think.
I was going to say, like, we're in a time now where anything goes in terms of how stuff is announced, released, presented, whatever. I envision, if it doesn't exist already, and maybe I'm just dumb and I don't know, I envision a role being created within gaming publishers, a role dedicated to like a marketing guide that says, okay, this is how you announce this is how you present this is what you're going to use to show this, and like someone that like oversees all of that with like precision. Like, so this is the game we're showing. Okay, we're going to announce this in a blog post. This is the game. That one's for E3. This one, like, I reckon is going to be like, and maybe it already exists, or maybe it's just under the umbrella of, I don't know.
I think that probably does already exist to a degree. I think the comment there that stuck out to me was the vocal gaming community screaming for more direct styles, and we've said this a billion times on the podcast. You know, when we talk about the difference between a Nintendo Direct and an Inside Xbox, right? If I say Inside Xbox, millions of Xbox fans recoil in horror, and the reason is content. Inside Xbox as a format is fine if they've got the content to have that kind of show.
Correct.
If they don't, it sucks because they're filling it with waffle about the latest color pad or, you know, something else inane and boring. That's the problem. Nintendo are great because they're directs. They save them up for when they've got something to talk about. And that's...
but the thing is, there are still people that think they've had bad directs. Yeah. Which just proves that it's not about the format. It's about the content of whatever they're showing.
Yeah, and your tastes pursuant to that content, I suppose. But
that's right.
Yeah. A couple of super chats. Cerys, I understand that a single strand of Jeff's hair has the tensile strength of a stainless steel armadillo. Sounds true again. And Scarecrow121, I heard that they reinforced Tom Brady's jockstrap with Jeff's hair to avoid friction-based fires breaking out on the field.
That's right.
Wow.
If you've ever worn a jockstrap, you've had my hair right next to it, right next to your stuff. That's
next to your junk.
Right next to your stuff. Yep.
Okay. Commander Buck. Hi, XboxEra team, Mr. Grubb. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. Anywho, should we do live calls one day? What do you reckon?
God.
Or would that be a disaster?
It sounds like a mess.
It sounds. Yeah. I don't know the technicalities of doing that would work, and we'd probably get the what's that guy, the Xbot murderer? He'd come in and be like, avoid that. Go on.
Anywho, do you all expect Xbox E3 to be taped like last year, or will it be somewhat like years before, but not really in front of a live audience? Thank you kindly. Taped.
Yeah.
Yep.
100% taped.
Yeah.
Next question is from Blackie. Hey panel, hey Grubby. Okay, so he just likes adding the I at the end of everything. Yeah. Okay, hey panel, hey Grubby. How do you guys cope with all the hostility that's thrown at you on Twitter and other sites? You know, I was actually going to ask Jeff this myself. The pressure seems enormous sometimes. And to be honest, I think I'd already call it quits if I was in your position sometimes. Happy Pride Month, and let's hope for an awesome E3. Greetings from Germany. You know, it's funny. I was actually going to ask Jeff this at the start of the podcast. Like, man, people say horrible shit.
Yeah, they do.
Over video games. Like, they say some horrible stuff. And just
I don't know. I think I like to poke fun at people too, right? Like, I have fun with Jim Ryan, and I think I'm like mostly punching up, but whatever. It's I think if people kind of keep it in that sort of vibe, like there was that story the other day from that joke story from the hard gamer
Hard Times.
That parody Hard Times, yes. And it was like, IGN reviewer decides to start playing game after finishing review, and I'm like, okay, well, IGN's dealing with some stuff. If they had written about me, I would have been like, this would have been really funny. I'm like, just write this about me instead, because I poke fun at Jim Ryan and all these other guys and like have a good time and have a laugh. And I think it's okay if you want to sort of do that, but make sure you pick your targets right. And I think when most gamers are yelling at me, it's usually pretty easy to ignore. A lot of people just, you can tell, are getting stuff secondhand, don't consume the content directly, are not among my audience. and they are just hearing stuff secondhand and getting pissed off at an imagined version of me that does not exist. This person that they're talking about is not real. They'll say stuff like, well, Jeff never ever says that when he doesn't know something. He always pretends like he knows everything. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, half the things I say are I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm saying I don't know all the time. But no, this person just isn't listening to me. They aren't reading what I'm saying. And I got to keep that in mind, that they are just creating a person in their mind to attack because it makes them feel better about not knowing what's happening with all this stuff. And I always go back to, people are very, very anxious about video games because they spend a lot of money on it, and they're planning to spend even more money on it. And it's true, especially true on the Sony side of things. Like, these people are going to be spending a lot of money on video games over the next couple of years. And like, I'm sympathetic towards that. And so when they all like want their games to be very good and they're upset about like someone not liking Returnal as much as them, I get it to a certain point. So and then it does, of course it gets to me, of course it's like it bothersome, and it's like, I put a joke about, oh hey, I'm going to be doing the Ratchet and Clank review, and there's people that just have no sense of humor, and that's actually the thing that gets to me the most, when these people just do not get a joke. It is what is like, just get offline, because you are actually making it, you are the person that makes it worse for everybody else. That you just cannot have any fun ever. You are a stick in the mud, and you're boring, and it stinks when you're around. Just go away. But everyone else mostly is just like, they have anxiety, they're imagining this other person, and they're taking it out on this other person. And really, I shouldn't even be there when they're doing that, because it's like, when I come across that stuff, it's on a forum that I'm usually not in, and they just need a space to talk about the stuff and vent their frustrations. And if I never saw it, it's like a tree falling in the woods that I never hear. And that's the way it should be most of the time. People come in my mentions or whatever, it's easy enough to block them. It's easy enough to mute them. Twitter does a good job of giving me a quality control button that automatically mutes 95% of them, and I never even see it. So people are like, man, I'm sorry you have to deal with this stuff a lot of times. And I'm like, oh, is there something happening? I didn't even know it. And that's honestly how it is most of the time. It's like, yeah. In the end, most of the time, once I go back to playing games, or I go back to actually just doing the work, the stuff just goes right out of my brain, and I forget about it. And so it's actually pretty easy to deal with. And I just got to keep in mind, I have a pretty good job. I write about games. I have an audience that actually cares about what I say, and like, I should be grateful for that stuff. And when I give up when I do give like a 3 out of 5 to Returnal, and I'm like, here's some stuff that I think is wrong with this game. Developers like, we liked your review, Jeff, and all these other people getting mad at me. It's like, the developer can handle it. This is who I like. This is the person that put this stuff out, and I'm like, this is the work I'm actually criticizing. And if they can handle it, I can handle it. Some people are getting mad at me because I didn't like the game. We can all just kind of like vibe over here and let all these other people sort of freak out and be fine. So that's kind of the way I try to look at it, where people are dealing with their own feelings, and I could just try to step back and ignore them, and we'll all be better off in that case. So
very, very wise words.
Yeah, I need to get better at not reading comments. I need to get better at it.
I mean, I think people need a space to talk about anyone that's in the public eye, and even if it's like just a little bit, we're doing a show on YouTube or whatever, that's still in the public eye. People need a space to just say whatever bullshit they need to say, and everyone would be better off if you just like let them do it and ignore it and don't even look at it. Yeah. Like, Tom Cruise doesn't go and look at what people say about him, and I know we're not Tom Cruise, and this would be a lot easier if we were millionaires. Like, it's much easier to like put stuff, it's like we were making a lot of money or something, but even still, like, I should just like let them do their thing. Like, it's basically to them, they see my name pop up over and over and over again, and they're so ingrained in games. I don't say this in any like way where I'm like comparing myself to Tom Cruise, really, but I might as well be Tom Cruise to that person as much as they are thinking about me. So it's like, I need to kind of live up to my side of the bargain on that stuff and just say whatever, just say what you need to say, and I'll ignore you.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that Nick cops all of the flack. Like, I just get to come along for the ride, and everyone's like,
such a liar.
Yeah,
he's always lying.
Just fraudulent, massively, and I just get to swim along beside and enjoy the ride, right? I see stuff. We made a big boo-boo with regards to Bungie's story a long time ago, and that was on me. And reading a lot of that, I guess that's the closest I've come to experiencing hate online to that degree. And it was more that it was my cock up and it was the effect that I might have on the thing I'm trying to build that was more morally like I've really screwed up. But yeah, I used to get bullied all the time at school when I was a kid. I was really short. I was definitely not the cool kid, you know, big bouffant hair. I know that's hard to imagine now. But, you know, I learned really, really young, and I'm fortunate in some ways. None of the bullying ever really got to me. I wasn't one of those kids that was, you know, really victimized and felt really depressed and couldn't talk to anyone. I was just like, you're all beneath me, and just carried on with life, you know. And I guess I'll just take that into the Twitter sphere if I ever end in that space.
Yeah. I need to stop reading Reddit comments.
Yeah.
Yes. Because it's they have no idea what they're talking about. They only read Reddit. They don't watch the content, so they just read what they read on Reddit, and it's a game of telephone, and it's pointless. The thing is, like, we really went through this with Dean and Cuphead, and it's like that was those kind of moments where it's like the thing got out of hand. No one really understood the context. No one cared about the context. The narrative was established, and that is the narrative that will live on forever. He was just bad at the game. And the reality is he was having a conversation while he's playing the game. He is bad at that game. Like, absolutely. That's why I put it online. It's fucking hilarious how bad he is at that game. But it wasn't like he's not like drooling while he's trying to play games. He was just having a conversation. That was what he was recording. He was talking to the developer. Yeah. And the conversation was more important to him than playing the game. But no one ever would have cared to hear that. No one ever, we explained it. No one cared. It was about this whole other thing, and it was a necessary narrative for a lot of people who were making content at the time. And you realize at a certain point you can't control this stuff, and it's pointless to try. Just focus on the stuff you can control, and if you focus on, especially on the people who are showing up and want to like engage in good faith, there are a lot of them, and it's like, you know, there are the people who are actually there, who have your back, and if you focus on them, you'll be much happier. They'll be happier. They'll notice that they are getting your attention more than the people who hate you, and it's just a much better circle to live in.
Yeah, and we've
so
got
many people in the chat saying that you've revealed yourself as a Scientologist.
I mean, it's my bio. Absolutely, yeah. Praise Xenu. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. We've still got some questions to get through.
Yeah.
Shadowless Edge, hello crew, and a warm welcome for Jeff. With E3 right around the corner, I'm in a stage of excitement and careful caution as COVID has managed to shake up our lives quite a bit last year. I'm carefully optimistic of what we might be seeing of AAAs, but would not be surprised this year to see some more indie darlings. Tunic was beautiful when shown prior, and it is one that I'm excited to try myself. Tunic is amazing. There's a demo on Steam. So my question is this. Is there any indie darling that you have played of recent that you would want to promote? And secondly, is there any indie darling that you are looking forward to? I, for one, am looking forward to my annual tradition of Maccas in bed, watching E3 with my partner and celebrating what would be an amazing show. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for the brilliant content you release every week. P.S. I'm an Aussie. Are you saying I don't exist, Jeff?
That?
Am I just a figment of someone else's imagination? Did he just edit that now?
Yeah, he edited that on the fly. Awesome.
Macca's in bed at 3 a.m. Well, luckily all the Maccas are 24 hours here, so yeah. Indie darling, Tunic, Artful Escape.
12
I want to see Artful Escape so bad. Yeah.
But in terms of indie darlings I've played this year, I'll give two very big shout outs to Killer Queen Black, which if you haven't played it, it's on Game Pass. If you're allowed 8 friends around, depends where you're living, COVID and all that. If you can, it's got multiplayer, but get a team together of 4, jump in. It's just very silly, lots of fun. And Project Winter as well, another indie game that I really enjoyed this year.
I was panicking because I'm like, man, is the only sort of like small game I played this year Bell and Wonderworld? I'm like, oh no, I've messed up. But it's Loop Hero is pretty good. I think it's it has a really good first impression. There's a solid like 20 hours in there, and I think the grind might be a little bit much after that, but it's worth the price. But Fights in Tight Spaces is a really good one. This is a deck building roguelite where you are going through these spaces and you're playing these cards to have these basically John Wick fights, and it's really well made. It's very strategic and it looks cool. Kind of looks like the stark contrast where the characters are just silhouettes, and like your guys is like a black silhouette and the enemies are all red silhouettes. And it's really cool to like go through these spaces, play these cards, get through it, and try to get as far as you can, and then continue to build your deck and get new karate moves to do next time.
That sounds
It's
cool.
one of those things you could just play over and over again. It's on Steam right now. I think it's going to be coming everywhere eventually, though. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
That sounds really cool. Oh, and Sifu.
Yeah.
That Sifu
yeah,
karate game.
Sifu looks good. Yes,
looks so good.
There is another one on Steam that I haven't tried yet, which is you get the procedurally generated layout of like wherever you're about to storm, and you can do all your tactical, maneuvering, and you can draw in like paint, and then you drop into the game world, and it's captured all of your drawings and everything. It's like I can't remember what it's called. I'll probably pop up later on with what it's called, but I want to try that at some point soon. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Next one. This one seems like friendly advice. Quiet Gamer 90. Hello everyone. For Jeff. I respect the work you do immensely, but I have a suggestion regarding your YouTube videos. Whenever you get any gaming related questions, please have a clear disclaimer before answering if it is speculation or confirmed info or something along those lines. It is not your fault per se, but you know how it is with the gaming social media. They will take what you say out of context, will declare it as confirmed info, and spread FUD everywhere. I apologize in advance if this suggestion comes off in a wrong way. Not my intention to do that. And that's why I said I think this is friendly advice. Question for everyone. Outside of Xbox E3, which E3 conference are you looking forward to the most? Nintendo's.
Yeah. Nintendo's. Same place.
Probably Nintendo as well. I can't think of any other publisher that I'm like woo about, really, to be honest.
I
want to see like Dragon's Dogma 2 pops up from Capcom and stuff like that. But yeah, Nintendo's the one.
Yeah. But yes, I know what Quiet Gamer means about taking what you say and twisting your words and.
Yeah, I've heard it does. It does. I feel like I'm always clear, but I guess in my mind I'm being more clear than I supposedly am.
And that's the thing.
The trouble is, it's like. I'm not able to keep full thoughts in my head at one time. I'm ADHD. I need to speak a sentence kind of as I'm doing that process, what I'm going to say next. And the idea of like up front saying all of this is speculation before I even say it is very difficult for me. But I try to, when I'm saying, like, if I'm going to say something speculation, I feel like I always try to point it out, and it doesn't matter. What happens is that people don't believe you. They don't believe that when you say you're speculating, they're like, oh, he's just saying that. He knows more than he's leading on to. And sometimes that's true. Maybe I'm guilty of that. So maybe that's what's happening.
That's the problem.
But it's like, right. But it's like, but even when I am speculating and I try to point it out clearly, people jump to the conclusion. It's like, well, he's trying to suggest something there. He knows way more than he's leading on. And when he says, I don't know, he's just covering for something so he can mislead people or so that he can like misdirect from what he really knows. So he doesn't get someone in trouble. I think I could try to say it over and over again that I am trying to be as upfront as possible at all times. I find that's way easier for me. I can go to sleep at night and not freak out about like, oh man, are people going to figure out that riddle or whatever? I'm like, I'm not the Riddler. So I just try to be as upfront with people as possible. And when I don't know something, whenever I say I don't know, I mean it. The other side of that is people start trying to do process of elimination. They start asking me a million questions, and they're like, okay, he said, I don't know this, and this. And to this thing, he didn't say anything. So obviously that's what it is. And it's like, okay, I don't want to be played like that either. So at a certain point, you do have to just like shut up and stop answering questions or not answer something, even if it's like you don't know it. And then at the point, it's like people are like, well, he's pretending to know it, and he's not saying it. And it's like, no, I just at a certain point I have to draw a line where people can keep asking me questions, and I'm sorry, but that's just for my own sanity.
And you know what doesn't help?
I appreciate the advice, though. You're right.
You know what doesn't help? When individuals named Jeremy reply to you for fanning the flames on your Twitter account. Some people watching will know what I'm talking about.
Would that be about that thing?
What thing?
Set in the deep recesses of deep space.
Space?
Yeah. Quick one. 99 Rukan. Xbox crossover fighting game. Can it happen?
I don't know. Maybe they need to try and purchase NetherRealm and have Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct.
Possible, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm conscious of time.
We're almost there. We're almost there. And one of the questions we've technically already answered too. So yeah. Beast Mode 10. Hi, John, Nick, Figments, and of course Jeff. Figments not with us. I'm assuming you folks are not tired after reading Dio and Cerys' question yet. This might be slightly on a much more serious note. I heard reports of Sony strong-arming indie devs who might partner with Xbox and hope that is not true. Oh, we talked about this too, didn't we? But more importantly, I hope as children of the 80s or 90s, you would know what Microsoft and
Department of Justice.
You would know that Microsoft, and is that Department of Justice?
I would
DOJ,
guess so.
Had a tiff for something like this. So this is a popular media question for serious media people like Jeff. When do practices like this stop being swept under the carpet of just business? Again, if this is purely an unfounded rumor, then the question is possibly moot. Also, I understand the hardships media men like yourself have gone through during the pandemic with pay cuts and so on. I do hope you bring back your business of making games series. It was super educational for me to hear from Chris Charla and others about efforts behind the scenes.
I'm not very involved with that side of things. That we had a dedicated team do that stuff, but I'll see what we can do about that. But I'm glad you liked it. And in terms of I forget the first part of the question.
When does this stuff stop being swept under the rug, like the strong arming and all that kind of stuff?
It's blurry. Like, I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, there's no law against being aggressive and competing. Like, in fact, that's the laws are there to force these companies to compete. And what Sony is doing is, like, if like the thing with Elden Ring, everyone's assuming that Sony gave more money, and I have no idea if that's the case. I don't even think that's the case. But like hypothetically, if that's what Sony was doing, like, Sony gave more money to another company, and we're going to say that's not against the rules. Though the rules exist to say if one company wants to give you more money, the market is there to get you the highest price for your goods, and that's how it should work. And if it's like someone sweeping in at the last second and surprising Microsoft and kind of taking a deal away from them by giving more money, then Microsoft should have given more money up front or whatever, or should have been more aggressive themselves and try to solidify these deals faster. That's all fair game. So the DOJ is not going to care about that. Now, in terms of like, are they like retaliating against companies for making deals and then hurting them on other sides of their business? Again, that stuff's complicated because I don't think it's stuff that is out of the realm of fair game. Of, hey, if you are partnering with our competition, you are that we don't necessarily want to be working with you because we're worried about X or Y, or worried about you so being associated with Xbox. We're just trying to build an exclusive sort of silo over here, and we think that that's more important. That's where we're going to put our efforts. We're allowed to decide where we want to spend our money. That stuff is it's a blurry line, and I think a lot of it is just business. It really is. If there's developers that have different experiences, feel free to reach out to me. I'll try to find out what I can do. But it's for as far as I could tell, based on what I know, most people just fully understand that this is just Sony protecting its revenue and wanting to like do what's best for PlayStation, because PlayStation is very important to Sony, and I don't think anyone really blames them for that. So this is a tough one.
Yeah. Yep. Quick super chat as well. Agaratos Henosis. I've been watching the saga of him trying to get this question asked. He was having some trouble with super chat. Apparently, it bans the word lads, which is shocking because we're a panel of elegant lads.
Really?
But when is the E3 app releasing? The reason you might have heard an Outlook in the background if you're watching the stream is because I was looking up the answer for you. Apparently, June 7th, so this coming Monday. That's the answer.
Okay.
All right.
Tomorrow, my time.
Yeah. So there you go. Sorry, carry on. We're near the end. We're near the end, Jeff. You can go and have beer soon.
Notian. Just wanted to say how much I love John, Nick, and our team. The past couple of weeks have been hard for my wife and I, and all the well wishes and check-ins made things a little easier. Also, to the wonderful Jeff Grubb, I hope that all the bromance you receive from Nick et al. Is that how you pronounce that? Counters the vitriol you receive on Twitter for doing your job.
Absolutely. It's way better. Yes, absolutely.
People think we're joking. If Jeff was to take screen grabs of the DMs and how many times I tell him I love him in his DMs, I'm not joking. Like, it's in there. I'm not lying.
It's in there.
I still think you, Rand, and myself need to make a hairband, except instead of rock, we can just play old times Fallout tunes non-ironically.
Yep, okay. I love it. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, remember, I am the third most important person in Jeff's life. Mike is fourth.
Right.
Okay. finally, as to the question, with all of the updates from AMD on the additions to their toolset with FSR, for example, and GDK features likely to be implemented this year in full, have you heard anything on a mention/demo of sorts during E3? Seems to me some of the features like seems to me like some of the features like DirectML and FSR would be another great boon for the BC program, which is obviously back in effect. Those examples specifically could mean a reduction in efforts to boost resolution for older games without the labor intensity that applied to applying the Huchi method. Is that right? Huchi,
I think, but yeah.
Huchi. The way it's like HEUTCHY, so I read that as Hoochie, but I also know what Hoochie means.
You want to give Jeff one?
Multiple things. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh dear, this it just went down into R-rated now. Sorry, everyone.
To achieve 4K it's still early here, and I saw it like that. Anyway. Do we think about demos or anything like that at E3 for that sort of stuff?
I don't know. It's too early for that at E3. AMD is trying to get this stuff on PC first. It's going to take a few months to like get that stuff sorted, but that's where AMD is focused. And then FSR will show up on consoles probably later this year. Machine learning, Microsoft's ML stuff, DirectML. That stuff maybe could pop out at E3, but that's too technical. That stuff will probably be talked about in a blog post later down the line. I'll tell you where I'm most excited about this stuff, though, is almost the Xbox One X. Super resolution could be very important on that. Like, it could make a huge difference. Like, Xbox One X could suddenly be like, oh, this is actually a really good console again. These games are running great. Depends on how broad it's applied to games, and with their games, they had a huge update for this stuff to happen. But, games could come out cross-gen and run really well on Xbox One X with that super resolution. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I've just been alerted we missed a super chat. So apologies.
I think we did from Asia Ruiz.
Yeah. So
hello XboxEra panel and Harry Minotti. Do you think there might be something big on the Xbox E3 that you don't know about? Last year, no one saw coming Bethesda. Not even glorious hair Mike. Is he getting Jeff and Mike mixed up?
I think he's doing it ironically.
Yeah, because people call Mike Bald Jeff, and so he's flipping the script and calling me Hairy Mike.
Right, Hairy Mike. Okay, I get it.
Nothing wrong with being bald, Mike. All right, nothing wrong.
There should be surprise. There should be surprises.
Bald is beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that there's a possibility that there could be a surprise. I don't think there's going to be any. If it's happening, it's going to be one of these last minute deals that are getting put together that we are kind of talking about it now, and we'll see. But I think they are going to be very focused on games, and it's going to be a lot of the games that we've talked about today. And that is going to be an issue where like a lot of this stuff is known, but a lot of that's just we knew these games. Everyone knew Starfield was coming. Like we knew Starfield was coming, so they couldn't really spring on us that much. And I guess they could have been like in a situation where like everyone was like, "Oh, that game's still far, far away," and no one knew it was going to be here. Maybe it would have been more surprising, but really, it's just going to come down to execution and how good that game looks. And that's where, like, the rubber will meet the road and all that stuff. So probably no big surprises. It's just going to come down to how good these games actually end up looking on stage.
Yeah.
B-Rep. Yeah. The super chat. Great show. Jeff, anything new with Elden Ring?
Jeff has it.
Yeah. It's all like, go talk to Jeff Keighley. Like, listen, I'm pretty sure it's going to be at that June 10th show or whatever it is. Summer Game Fest, the Summer Game Fest kickoff. But if not, it's at some point during Summer Game Fest, we should see it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Last two questions, and one I think we've covered. Mortifer. Hello, everyone. There are many rumors right now for new acquisitions, including IPs from Microsoft. Any ideas if these are actually true? Apparently they are. Also, any predictions for upcoming games coming to Game Pass? Thank you for your time. Well, yeah, we mentioned earlier on the Rumour Mill, and obviously we saw on Twitter something from Jez's Discord that, yes, there's probably some stuff.
Yeah.
Upcoming games coming to Game Pass.
One rumor I realized we didn't discuss.
Nexus?
Yeah, Scarlett Nexus. But one rumor I realized we just didn't discuss all the way through was the persistent rumor of Battlefield. That's out there. Battlefield 6.
Oh, Battlefield 6?
Yep.
The one that apparently I said but I didn't say?
Yep. Apparently that one.
Yeah. That one?
Yeah.
That's probably in discussions, but like I said, those deals get made at the last minute. And so they probably it's not going to be at E3 where they say this is Game Pass day one. At least I'm would be very, very surprised if that happened. If they make that Game Pass day one, we will hear about it a few weeks before it comes out, and not before.
Yeah.
When does Battlefield normally release? What month?
I feel like October, November. I think it's got to be one of those games, right?
Yeah.
And no, you know what? Everything's September. Remember, this is coming out in September too. Yeah, everything's September.
Battlefield November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Last question. Did we predict? I mean, we said Scarlett Nexus for Game Pass.
Yeah. Bunch of indies.
I think. Yeah, bunch of indies. I don't know. Maybe. What else? Yeah, I mean, the door's open.
Has the Ascent been confirmed day one for Game Pass?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That looks phenomenal.
To me, something like Back 4 Blood makes sense on Game Pass.
Yeah, that does make sense.
To me, something like that makes sense. Like it needs the multiplayer population. It needs all the attention it can get. It did wonders for Outriders. To me, Back 4 Blood's like a prime candidate.
The best bald person I haven't met yet, Mike Minotti in the chat, Persona 5 Royale, straight in there. Makes sense.
Well, I basically tweeted that.
We'll see. Last question. Proven. Hello, panel. Was wondering if Nick was still sticking to Starfield in 2021. I agree with him that the entire situation surrounding that game is weird, and it's odd that they're showing the game this E3 if it truly is a late 22 game. Also, will Todd be on stage or at the show in some capacity? Isn't it a good B3 if Todd Howard... It isn't, a good B3 if Todd Howard isn't there. Yeah, I'm sticking to my guns because that's what I do. I die on hills. So something about Starfield is sounding funny to me. I am going to remain 2021 for now. I'm going to stick to it because until you see 2022.
I would love it.
I know Jeff has now moved to 2022, but I am staying with 2021 because Todd himself said this is how we want to do it going forward. We want to announce it, show it, and release it same year. So it seems weird to me that why would they then show it off at E3 only to say
got new corporate overlords now, man. They got new bosses. These people calling the shots.
Yeah, I mean, I think a part of it is just that the game is close to ready. It's just very big, and the other part is it's like one of the big games that Xbox will have in 2022. They're going to have Halo and Forza this year, and honestly, they might have like Starfield and Forza Motorsport next year, and that might be kind of it in terms of the games that actually launch in the calendar of 2022. And if that's the case, then you're going to have to rely heavily on Starfield, like the promise of Starfield starting now to kind of keep people happy with like, oh, there's something coming. They'll have these other deals, these Game Pass deals and stuff to really help. But in terms of first-party games, they're going to want to talk about this because this might be their 2022, and then we're talking again about like get to the next E3 where you could start really talking about 2023 games. But the promise of Starfield needs to be part of bridging that gap for people. So I think it's one of the big reasons they're talking about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Something feels off.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I would love to play it this year. I'd love it for it to be ready and stuff. But I was always hopeful it was 2021. I've heard it's 2022, and that's all I heard is 2022. There's no time of the year from I kind of like heard some people suggest maybe it was earlier in the year, but from good sources it was always just 2022. So yeah, that's all I have.
We'll see in 8
I'm
days.
I'm dying on 2021 either way.
Do it.
Either way.
He's there. So look, we're coming up to 2.5 hours. It has been a very, very fun time, and everybody in the chat has been, frankly, awesome and great. Not very many trolls. Xbox Murderer.
Yeah, shout out to Xbox Murderer.
Yeah, thanks for being the only one.
Thanks for your money, buddy.
Cheers. So very quickly, Jeff, every guest we've had on the lead up to E3, I've asked this question for at the end of the podcast. If there was no holds barred, forget timings or what could happen, E3 of dreams, like your personal, what could Microsoft announce that would make you the happiest, Xbot that apparently you are? what 3 things could they announce? You know, it doesn't matter about timelines or reality. Pick wildest dreams. What is it? Top 3. Go.
Yeah, I think it's stuff we've spoken about a little bit today, but it'd be like Wolfenstein 3. It would be Banjo, a new Banjo-Kazooie, and probably even Viva Piñata. I think if we get all those kinds of things, that would be great. Now, none of those are going to happen, but if all of them happen, that would just be, I would be so ecstatic. And I want them all to look really great, just look fantastic with ray tracing and stuff. And yeah, that would be my dream for sure.
That's a pretty solid dream. I'm all aboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a fantastic show. Thank you, Jeff, as always, for your time.
Thanks, Jeff. Sorry we held you over, mate.
No worries. But yeah, you got apologize to Miles. He's like, where the hell's Jeff? God damn it.
Well, Miles was in the chat before, so
yeah, he was. Yeah.
He knows where you are.
He's probably still watching on his phone. But serious big thank you to all of our patrons, all of the Xboxera community, and everybody that hasn't subscribed to us. Stop and press the subscribe button because we'd really appreciate it. It would be lovely of you. We're going to let you go. This podcast will get timestamps and the audio version will probably arrive at some point tomorrow. And we will be back with an Xboxera panel of 8 of us. God, it's going to be insane. For the Xbox E3 show on Sunday, 6 p.m. UK time. And I don't know what the rest of the time zones are, but you guys do.
My time.
3 a.m. in Australia. He's going to be a very quiet man. With 7 people laughing and hollering in his ear. And we will see you then. So thank you to everybody for tuning in and hanging out. It has been a blast.
Ciao for now.
Thank you.
See you later.